They're probably trying to figure out where to park.
Actually, so. Yeah. Okay.
It should be on every phone.
You said something about sending it a link. You guys send it?
I can try, I don't know if I can get on the internet over here. Probably up here, if you don't check, you don't see that over here or something. Who's next?
Hey guys, can you hear me? It's Josh.
I'm sure it'll probably be the one.
Hey Rhonda, this is Josh. Can you hear me?
You guys need to call the order.
You think he got me sworn in about it.
All right, good morning, folks. I'm taking one on one of the judges. We're here to give future commissioner a home to go to the office. We'll do that now. Sir, you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you, Leslie Coleman, affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Kansas and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Commissioner of Osage County, Kansas? So help me God. I do. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to sign this right now. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. All right.
Oh, sure.
Wow. Thank you.
It says too much. You might not have been able to nominate. Yes, he's on.
Can you hear me? This is Josh.
Okay, right, we're hearing. Can't get that all back up right now, but if you want to go ahead with the flag salute, and we'll start with the organization. If the meeting's still on. The meeting's still on. The Zoom is right down here in the corner. I just can't figure out how to. It says it's recording. It's over here in the corner, but there.
So you call them in order today, right?
Yeah. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. I'll call the meeting to order and a motion for the chairman for the period of January 9th, 2023 to January 8th, 2024.
You got my nominations for chairman?
Yes.
I would but
Go ahead.
I nominate Les Coleman for chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second that nomination.
All in favor?
I would like further discussion. So there haven't been any discussions yet of this with us together about who would be chairman, so I think we could do that today. But I'd like to know your thoughts on that, on your nomination.
Well, we have to nominate somebody, and I chose to nominate us as chairman,
And what were your reasons on it?
because I think they make a good chairman. There's no discussion to be had on nomination. If you want to discuss topics, then that's the difference on nomination. I made the nomination, it's been seconded. I think we just vote on it and move forward.
Well, I'm just gonna say that I've served for 2 years as vice chairman. And I filled in when you were gone. I filled in when you had surgery for your age 12 weeks. I think I'm competent for it and capable to do that. I think I would do a good job at it. And I think that the natural progression, since I've served for 2 years, would be for me to move into that position, and I just want to know why for the second year you would pass over having me as chairman.
Again, I'm not going to discuss my views on what, but I'll just say this: in the best interest of Osage County, I'll stick by my nomination. It's been seconded. I would ask that we have a vote on this, Madam Clerk.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So I'll turn it over to the new chairman, and you have that in front of you, correct? You have the sheet in front of you of the order of the things for the.
Very good.
Awesome. Okay, I'll turn it over to you to start with number 3.
Okay, excuse me, motion for vice chairman for the period of January 9, 2023 through January 8, 2023. Vice chairman, that'd be a nomination. I nominate
That is,
Heather.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I said,
Opposed? Same time.
Was that all in favor? I'm sorry. Did
Yeah.
everybody vote yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I did not.
Oh, did you abstain? Okay.
Motion carries. Heather Cooter, vice chairman. Motion to appoint the Board of County Commissioners as the official Board of Events viewers for the period of January 9, 2023 through January 8, 2024.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh. Regular meeting days and hours of the Board of County Commissioners be set as follows. First Monday of the month and each Monday of the month thereafter from 8:30 a.m. through 4 p.m. or until business is finished. Can we do all these at the same time?
Yeah.
Each first business day of the month that does not fall on regular commission meeting day from 8:30 a.m. until business is finished to approve payroll and miscellaneous expenses to conduct any other necessary business. The 15th of each month that does not fall on a regular commission meeting day from 8:30 a.m. until business is finished to approve miscellaneous expenses and conduct any other necessary business. From 8:30 a.m. till noon to approve payroll, miscellaneous expenses, and be conducted any other necessary business. Sorry. Tuesday following a Monday holiday from 8:30 a.m. through 4 p.m. or until business is finished. The last business day of December from 8:30 until business is finished. All in favor, or motion's been made, sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. County commissioners be purchasing agents for the county, purchase orders with purchases in excess of.
I believe it's 300.
That's what it's been in the past. I always leave it blank so you can change it if you so wish.
Be presented for approval before purchase is made. All vouchers and bills are to be returned into the payroll clerk by the 10th and 21st of each month. Any voucher or bill turned in after these dates will not be paid until the following pay period. The following dates are scheduled pay dates for 2023. Miscellaneous bills only, January 17th, February 15th, March 15th, April 17th, May 15th, June 15th, July 17th, August 15th, September 15th, October 16th, November 15th, December 15th. Payroll and miscellaneous bills, February 1st, March 1st, March 31st, May 1st, June 1st, June 30th, August 1st, September 1st, October 2nd, November 1st, December 1st, January 2nd of 2024. Motion has been made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. To reappoint, motion to reappoint Caitlin Minor, County Health Department Director, January 9, 2023 through January 8, 2024. Motion's been made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to reappoint Greg McCurdy, Emergency Preparedness Director for the period January 9, 2023 through January 8, 2024. Motion has been made. All in favor? Or sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to reappoint Ryan Fine, Public Works Director for the period January 9, 2023 through January 8, 2024. Motion has been made.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Excuse me. Motion to reappoint Melissa Kraus, Land Development Director for the period January 9, 2023 through January 8, 2024.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to appoint Stephanie Burdette, HR Director for the period January 9, 2023 to January 8, 2024.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to reappoint Steve Brosmer, Osage County Surveyor for the period January 9, 2023 through January 8, 2024.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to designate banks as county depositories for the period January 9, 2023 through January 8, 2024. Linden State Bank, Linden, Kansas, Landmark National Bank, Osage City, Kansas, First National Bank of Kansas, Osage City, Kansas, First Security Bank, Overbrook and Carbondale, Kansas, Kansas State Bank, Overbrook and Scranton, Kansas Bank of Osage City and Burlingame, Kansas, Citizen State Bank of Linden. Motion's been made.
Second.
But all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to set holidays for the year 2022. Martin Luther
That should be
King,
2023.
sorry,
Sorry, I got confused on my years.
I read it, just following. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday, January 16th, President's Day, February 20th, Memorial Day, May 29th, Independence Day, July 4th, Labor Day, September 4th, Veterans Day, November 10th, Thanksgiving Day, November 23rd, day after Thanksgiving, November 24th, Christmas, December 25th. Courthouse will be open until 11 a.m. on December 29th. The Board of, should be 9. The Board of County Commissioners will meet in session from 8:30 a.m. until all year-end business is complete. New Year's, January 1. Transfer Station 2023 holidays. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday. What's this open mean?
They're open at the transfer station on days that the courthouse and the other offices are closed.
Okay. So then President's Day, all holidays the same, it appears. New Year's Day, January 1, 2023. Motion has been made.
That should be 24.
Yeah, I got it.
Good catch. Okay, motion has been, what? And allow one discretionary day per year to be used with the approval of the department head to take effect after the first 6 months of employment.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to designate the Osage County Herald Chronicles, the official county newspaper for the period January 9, 2023 through January 8, 2024.
Second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to set mileage rate at,
That, they just that every year, you can change it if you wanted to. I did have this sent to me about, I think Stephanie found this about the, IRS.
The county or the League of Municipalities sent that out that the federal had changed their rate, reimbursement rate, and I just wanted to be aware of the change.
65.
What do we think? I think it's-
I think we're fair, yeah, and then.
So mileage goes to do the duplex by its name, just the commissioners.
Mainly the commissioners, but also anybody that travels, like if somebody takes their own car to a meeting or.
Yeah,
Is there a company call for that?
Yes, there's still a multi-use.
I would make a motion, I would leave it at the 50 cents.
a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Excuse me. The motion designating the Osage County Commissioner districts to include the cities and townships as follows. Commissioner District number 1, Burlingame City, Scranton City, Burlingame Township, Dragoon Township, Fairfax Township, Grant Township, Scranton Township, second ward and third ward of Osage City. Commissioner District number 2, Carbondale City, Overbrook City, Elk Township, Junction Township, and Ridgeway Township. Commissioner District number 3, Linden City, Melbourne City, Olivet City, Quinimo City, Agency Township, Orvonia Township, Barclay Township, Lincoln Township, Melbourne Township, Olivet Township, Superior Township, Valley Brook Township, First Ward and Fourth Ward of Osage City.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And these are the next two resolutions. The first one is the gap waiver resolution, which is done the first of every year. The second is the ROS resolution, which has to do with economic development. And that's been the past, you've been a part of it for 2 years, but this is the second year to do the resolution.
So he just, I think, like, he just make the motion to approve that resolution.
Yeah, I was just looking this over just real quick, like. Okay, I'll make the motion to approve resolution number 23-01.
Is that the gap where?
This would be the gap waiver.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ross resolution.
I think we'll have some of that included, so.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the ROZ resolution.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next on the list, appoint members of to the planning and zoning board that are mileage.
What, do we pay that mileage or not?
They haven't changed.
Mileage, do they pay that mileage or not?
They do get paid mileage. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't turn it in until the end of the year, because usually it is a minimal amount each month, so we just do it. It's usually less than a year.
So if your motion is to reappoint the planning and zoning board, I'll second that. With the same mileage consideration.
Same amount.
Okay. Motion's been made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. Appoint commissioner to ECAN board, SOS board, Lake Region Authority. Fred, is this?
I was gonna say on ECAM board, Lake Region boards,
And then this SOS board, then what's that board?
Which board?
The SOS board?
That's the, center in Emporia for, battered women or displaced women. There's a stipend that's given them each year from the county, and so they have someone to sit on that board.
So then can we split up these nominations and then appoint someone other than chairman?
Yes, oh, yes, because usually each commissioner takes one.
Dinner appoints on the other commission, I think is what the real question.
If the board allows for it to be someone other than the commissioner, yes.
Yeah. So I'd like to nominate Fred Diver to attend the ECAN board and Lake Region Authority, things he is already accustomed to, and then appoint Heather Cooter to sit on the SOS board.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
That was really quick, and I allowed an hour for it, but Stephanie did have something she was going to talk to you about, and
The hiring of the new seniors to the same.
You probably don't know.
general
No, I
transportation.
didn't.
I sent that information to you.
Yeah, oh, this is. okay.
That's her to hire to appoint her to that position. She can start on Saturday. She was gonna start Saturday and come in until she is relieved from her current position. She wants to come in and acclimate herself and get herself familiar with the location and the paperwork and what you have.
And have you guys had a chance to review this?
So this is like.
Yeah. Years.
You're on the board since you were around.
Yeah.
But I would make a motion. That we approve the hiring of Francis Leaders as the new senior center general transportation director at a rate of $19 an hour.
Second.
Motion's been made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays. Motion carries. Good. So you need a signature. This
That
one?
little short sheet,
Sure.
that little short sheet right there.
There you are.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Just fix the seats around. Make it easier.
Yeah.
Okay. And we can do that, right? Make it easier when they come up.
Table hopping.
Brad, did you chewing on this seat or what? Not like I was sitting on the floor. I'm telling you, man, like I was chewing on things.
Okay.
Is that what you do? You need it?
All right, now the fun part, then we move into the meeting.
yeah, we kind of zoomed right through that.
We call meeting to order. We've not done that.
Yeah.
We already started that. Public comment. We'll move
We're
into
ready for that.
We'll move into public comment. Is there anybody here that like to make public comment?
Well, I just like to say anything.
Might take a picture, might have lightning strike here. Public outreach organization of the board, we already did all that, so we'll move to Ryan Fine, Public Works Director, weekly report. If you guys have somewhere, can you?
Last week, we I didn't get a signature on this paper. That we had. Honestly, a signature. He would like to know this.
I was just saying from last week.
Yeah. I had my signature on it, and she didn't have a signature, and I needed to get it.
Oh, this is for resignation.
Yeah. That was like last week, we just did a form.
Yeah, that's big.
Nice to meet you.
How's everything, Road Bridge?
Good, they finally came out to our bridge project on 125th and started doing phone lines, get the trees pushed back so we could get that bridge started, so we closed the last week.
Yeah.
While we had construction, is the contractor on that bridge,
You say 125th, is that?
125th and Fairlawn. And so they started all that process of finally getting our phone lines and stuff out of the way. So Creeky's been out there doing some dirt work, removing trees that they could get to. The power lines were close to. After that project, they should move to the 157th. We're still waiting on paper to be filed through.
Not the eminent domain one.
Yeah, that's the eminent domain one.
You need to catch grandpa, you're gonna ride back with grandpa.
You're gonna catch you. See you, buddy. Have a good day. He's trying to get out of school the rest of the day. Sorry.
You're all right. No, so that's what held us up on that here property. That's 157th from Burlingame Road. Near that area. So we were still waiting. Ryan said he was gonna file that last week at the end of the week, so. Once the court makes a ruling that in the domain applies, then I can get the water district start moving the water line. What we're gonna do, I talked to KCPL, and we're gonna take one of the poles and we're gonna cheat it a little bit closer to Burlingame Road, and that should stretch it past the area where we'll be working. So, it won't be a big move, and that way we don't, the county doesn't have to incur the cost of moving the 3-phase power line out of the way. Because we're gonna be facing that on Valencia Bridge. So that's what we got going on. And started hauling rock again today, so it's good. And I reached back out to Steve Ballman with the state. And because they're supposed to be reimbursing us for the rock that we hauled during that detour project. I passed along with them how many signs that were destroyed. That they gotta pay our cost for replacement.
Oh, they hadn't reimbursed this yet.
No, we're still, just the rock alone, we're at $30,000.
They paid for the dust control, not the lot.
Yeah, the dust control was 71,820, I think. If I'm remembering correctly. We do get that reimbursement check and end up paying for that. So.
Never received any money off of the agreement that we had in fall.
For hauling.
Yeah, who would that check come from? Maybe the state or probably from,
Would that be that?
Mid States.
Are you talking about the ham one or?
no, I mean, this would be a check from mid states at some point in time.
Okay, no, I have not seen that. Well, besides the regular haul fee that we had, just the regular. That they pay us for on that route. So,
Was it substantially higher than before?
no,
So I didn't get that in there.
so I think all that was regular. And, we did receive that one for hams. For that large amount of rock, we did receive that check. It came in, so they didn't pay.
Did they pay the difference on that extra 15 cents or 10 cents?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was,
that check was $150.
Is that what they paid? Is that the big check is the one they paid at front?
Yeah,
Okay, and there was something else.
that covered all of it.
so we should, Christine, we should still have one coming. From the state, this will be that information that I gave you. We're still waiting on it.
Okay.
I haven't heard a reply since then.
But the ham one, you agree that the ham,
Ham.
I think it's paid in full.
Yeah, so Pam is actually covered and they did do what they said they were gonna do on that last one, so. And that's really all I have.
Very good. I'd like to meet with you at some point if you have some time, maybe later on today, once we kind of close or something, so we can kind of exchange numbers.
Yeah.
I know you got quite a bit of work up in my area. So
Yeah.
I'd like to be as helpful as possible, you know, make
Okay.
sure that you have my information in case you need anything.
Okay.
All right.
If we reach out and get some more bids on some dump trucks.
Phil has not set up a time to come in and talk to me yet. We reached out, we got one set of truck bids. And they came in considerably higher, which all that stuff has been going up considerably. So, I reached out to Phil Carrot with Grand Trucking. I used to, get bids from him. They carry Peterbilt's, and we're gonna see where that comes in at. I talked to the state last week and he said their bid is not actually going up until August. The trucks were quite a bit lighter than what we're planning on bidding. But they do have their heavier EV trucks that they did also, the ones that run the wing plows. And those are a little bit heavier built than their base under trucks that they ordered. So he said, but that one won't go out till now next August.
Maybe like August of this year,
Yes.
because all these are, they're talking 2 years before we get a truck anyway, correct?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So even if
And
we have
unless
to wait till-
people, the only way that you get it is like if somebody committed to buy it 2 years ago, then that comes up, something changed drastically in their budget where they can't get it. You might get that call early. But if you prepare with where your equipment fund is, and there you have it, where you have that ready to set up and go, you can usually get that truck. So. Yeah, the main thing is just getting in line and figuring out what we're after.
So let's say it was in August that you waited on a state bid, and does that start a 2-year cycle there, the state that those little
That's
equipment?
two cycle there. As of right now, that's.
I didn't know if they were
Pretty
getting-
standard, year and a half to 2 years out. So I really gotta plan ahead and see what you got. We did get one of our other trucks going, so we do have 3 going. That's major truck issues. We were down to, well, 2, the one storm, then both of those were up, so then we're down to the one that we had going.
Wow. For the entire county. Wow.
The other one get fixed that was on its side.
It is up at Hoyt's right now, checking the frame, having it, I gotta have 2 bids, so we had to have it towed up to Hoyt's. Browns came down and got it, and then we're gonna try to make it across town to the other place. Is,
So is it drivable or just something out of whack or what?
it looks like everything shifted down underneath the back end. When they went to upright it, something shifted from the weight of the salt and everything. So if you put a level across the rear channel, it won't touch the front one. So something's out of line there in that rear end. It's either the front's kicked out or it's kicked in. Opposite side, so we won't know until they can really dig into that and put something on and see if that frame is still okay on that truck. That's the 2011 Mac. So. And then the Hoyts can't do the hood and stuff, the damage, the cosmetic damage, so then it's got us somewhere else has to give us a bid on that, which.
So we don't need any more storms, until.
No, right now, this weather that we're having is working out well for us.
You're both with us for another week.
So,
Yeah.
so and then the month truck, we fired it up the other day, once we finally got the parts in for it. And then it dropped complete oil pressure out of it, the sensor went bad. So then Sean had to bring it back in and went clear down through it, and that sensor was clear down up underneath. Wow. So he got it all back and going, so fired up this morning, it was a low pressure again, so. That's pretty much it.
All right. Very good.
All right, thank you.
Monday morning.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I think we talked on the phone before.
Yes, yes, we
It's been
did
a while
speak
back.
once about the pre-treatment for. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
take care.
We received a text from our county council that he'd be here around 9, so he's here at the moment.
So we'll drag our feet a little bit. We can move. We can go and move on to Christine Foster, get her rocking and rolling.
How's, PVC, and do you want me to wait until 11? Present those?
So yeah, we're gonna have one of these, the EDC is separate from the county commission, so. When we do that, we usually recess the county commission meeting for whatever third time we think, and I think the sheriff has got stuff at 11 also, does he not?
And they're coming.
So usually at 11 o'clock, we would recess the commission meeting, not adjourn, but recess it.
Right.
Go and then call over the PBC meeting. Have it and then adjourn it and come back to the county commission meeting. I'm assuming this is probably bills,
Yeah, 2 invoices.
so we have to go through the building commission to do that, but I mean, I'm just saying how, I think we can call a recess to do BBC anytime if we want to get the bills out of the way. Is that correct, Rhonda? I mean, don't say how many times we can do
You could recess now and recess again later, or you could recess.
it. We're talking
I
about
get you.
12 bills.
I mean, I have to come back down then anyways, just to see if there's anything else that comes out. Right,
Probably I could go out the whole, I think, Goldberg was coming for that.
yeah, so I'll just hold those till 11.
Okay. So then we don't need to recess at this time.
And then I do have a purchase order that I would like to request approval to add $1,000 postage. Postage a lot with the statement mailing. So we're overspent. So the clerk lets us know that we're balance.
Purchase order.
Right.
That's what it's for, and that's it out.
Right,
And then
right.
this is what,
Right. And then this is.
So
This is
down at the
your
bottom.
overall. So I'll make that motion.
Look who's there.
Motion to approve the postage request,
Purchase order number.
purchase order 3750.
$1,000.
In the amount of $1,000, sorry. Payable out of the treasurer's fund. Postage meter fund.
Not 7,000.
All in favor? Opposed? Excuse me.
Now you gotta be small.
Motion carries. Where do you want to sign it, right here?
Morning. How are you?
Brazil.
I was over there at the state.
Getting warmed up. Car almost got towed by the state troopers.
Oh,
Did you park where you shouldn't have?
I put my flashers on in the visitor center. It's normally fine, but the inauguration day, the security. They're preventing another. That's right.
Do you want this back or can I keep it?
Well, I mean, if you,
You're gonna need it. I just want to knock it over something.
yeah, so Ron creates this
Okay.
and gives it to us when we do this. And, I don't know, I just 300 is not approved and, but when you have big mailings like this. Needs a little bit more, and then, I would like to request an executive session to discuss non-elected person.
discuss personnel matters related to non-elected personnel to protect the rights and privacy of individuals involved for 15 minutes. To include Christine Foster and we need to have what's
Josh,
Josh and I.
I'll send that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And I'm saying it's 9:08. Is that what you say it is?
Oh, I did. Good. Yeah.
Rhonda, do we have a voucher today? Drive up.
No, they took care of it for you last week.
Oh, yeah.
You're.
For two.
Okay. Okay. I will do the yellow one. Perfect. Okay, all right, thank you. He's May 7th.
Well, yeah. For the month.
Yeah, so all right. Yeah, yeah, we were.
Like family history.
She has 4, she had a letter.
Okay. Okay, well, indeed, we do fall.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Well, I don't know if we talk to Linda.
Yeah, she'll write the letter before you end.
Yeah.
How are you?
Fine. Not early.
Well, that's okay. Early boys get their executive session, so.
Hi, Brent.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
1 minute. Time. They don't have a motion to accept resignation, do they? We used to do that, but I guess they don't mind how they're. Josh, do we need a motion to accept the resignation, or we just sign off on it?
No action taken in executive session. So this one is needs to be signed off on. Okay. I would like to make a motion that we give a performance-based increase due to redistribution of duties due to the promotion of deputy. Separate from any other countywide pay rate increase for part-time staff, Teddy Starnes in the amount of 50 cents an hour.
Second.
What's all that right there?
Moves the rate to $14.50. Motion's been made second, all in favor?
Discussion, please. So are we gonna now have for the county that every department can now have performance evaluation and raises put into effect at their leisure?
I think that that's already here from the lack of policy stating what we do in this certain instance dictates that what you're stating is already the case.
Yeah.
So if we don't have a policy that states every year you have to come in for performance evaluation, we're already doing it willy-nilly. So, for lack of better term, sorry.
So what?
So this could start the conversation of what you would like to see moving forward. Personally, I would like to see us with a schedule of sorts that says yearly, we bring our employees in, each department head does the evaluation, you bring your recommendations in whole instead of one and what, but sometimes, in the situation that we have now, this is what we're doing.
So you're talking a yearly evaluation?
I'm saying that I would like to see certain things. We're gonna have to sit down and speak to everybody about what the best course of action is moving forward. Department heads need to be involved in that meeting as well.
What was the start date of this in particular?
12/21.
Well, yeah, retroactive to 12/21 and 22, beginning of
What
February.
was the start date of her employment? Has she been here a year,
No.
3 months,
Oh, more than 3 months.
6 months?
Summer time, I'm thinking it's probably been 6 months, yeah.
I'm just trying to set a bill here, so when somebody comes in and they want to do the same thing, that we don't have. They started yesterday, but now we want to give them an evaluation based increase, so is there, if it's gonna be 6 months, then that's fine, but we need to set down a time limit of what that is.
Does
Well,
our policy manual not have anything there?
But there is no performance
review documentation, process, anything existing, but we do have a policy that says we have them. I do believe that there will also be exceptions when you have changes in personnel, that you have to shift responsibilities, you make promotions, you make demotions that happen as a one-off scenario, which is a result of the changes that I had in my office in the past few years. So when we did the new policy manual, the performance reviews, that information was added, I believe, into the policy, so it's available. It's not really been instituted. The last couple of years, I have tried to have a few conversations, but I did not get any support where I would like to see us look at possible wage study, but then work towards like a graded pay scale with a classification system where every position is defined with duties required and skills required, and then each of those have a pay grade and a starting pay and an ending pay. So it does cap out at some point.
Right.
And then if someone in that position, if they're, they cap out at some point, they want to move to a higher pay, then, they would have to move to another position. But we want to be competitive, but we also want to determine what the county can afford.
Right.
But some positions will cap out at some point, and I would love to have that conversation. I tried to bring that up multiple times. I support, but I think that coincides with the performance rate, because you can have raises for different reasons. You can have your cost of living raise
Right.
on an annual basis. You can have a rate that just says, every 6 months or every year or every 5 years. That's an option. You can do performance based. So we would need to decide what we want that to look like here. And there isn't a policy, and it is just
Right.
what you said, willy-nilly, which it can be difficult when you don't have a good policy for the people governing and the people working here to understand how
You
things
leave,
work.
right, you leave a lot up for the imagination. I agree 100%. We can have that conversation. I think the department heads need to sit down and put together what they feel as well. I think that's a good starting point. Maybe I'm completely off base and it's
No.
my first day. I just want to make sure that, one of the whole reasons I even signed up to be a county commissioner was just to aid in what you guys are already doing and help move our employees forward and make it a good place.
We have to.
Believe it or not, as much as we might think it's a great place, I have spent a lot of time out in the private sector working. I know that counties and cities don't pay necessarily what the private sector pays, but I also know that we can offset some of that to create a draw for good educated employees. So that's kind of a preface to why I want to make this motion. I think it'll start the discussion. This will move us forward to where we need to be. It's a little bit closer.
The only thing we have to keep in mind, again, this isn't about one employee, there's 115 employees in the county. So how do we've had questions on raises pretty much every year, and I have continually voted for as a group. So when one commissioner says nobody wants to deal with the wage study, there's been another commissioner called for all the raises, one hasn't. So I mean, we can shade where you want, but I have no problem with a wage study. However, we still have to figure out how to pay for it. A wage study is not cheap. We're talking probably $40,000 to $50,000 to have a wage study done.
I don't know if they're that expensive.
We've had our HR people do some just preliminary stuff, but again, you're gonna have a professional team do it, right?
Right.
And then whatever the wage study comes back to, if you have to implement that, how do you pay for it?
Right.
So now we're talking about increasing taxes in the county.
Well, maybe and maybe not, but I don't think that we should just shy away from the question in total, unless it's already been answered. Again, I'm new. And if the question's already been answered,
The only thing we've got is we've had two HR people have reached out to others to find out what they're paying, trying to get a adjust there.
right,
We have, I would say flat out, when we came in here, I think the starting pay for a county employee was $11.25.
Yeah.
It's now, what's our starting rate now?
75.
How much?
Well, 11.75, but then the 50-cent raise, so 12.25.
$12.25 is the starting rate,
Yes, well, it will be, yes, it's officially now, Dr. January.
but most employees are at the $13.75. So now you see what I'm talking about. We
I know, I
got
do,
full-time
yeah.
employees starting
Yeah.
at $12.25. And then we're talking, I'm just saying, you have to be careful how you do it, and that's why these merit-based things.
Right.
If you have a schedule in place, that's one thing, but if you don't, and you're just throwing them off the hip, that's where you can get yourself in trouble, especially when they're hiring employees, and it's not like we're talking 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
I personally know this gal well, so I have no problem giving her a raise. However, it's how does it fit within the county picture? That's where the issue is more than.
And again, that's why we rely on our department head to, look at the budget. And I think this also is gonna help you understand my point of your budget as well.
I
'Cause
appreciate that.
I agree with Heather on some things. When it comes to the budget, I definitely, being as I'm new, would like to look in more and understand more. Doesn't mean I want to micromanage your budget by no means. But that question, the information will answer this question. How do we pay for it? You're exactly right. I believe we have to have 109 county employees to make this county work. How do we pay those people? More than that, but how do we pay these people? So that's my first question. We
Well,
gotta
and
dig
so-
the budget.
The other thing is we have clerk levels 1, 2, and 3 in my office. I believe that's how most offices are, and then deputies. Teddy is a clerk 2 because of the experience that she brought in with her. And so that's also why her current rate of pay is higher than somebody who's starting in fresh off the street, no experience coming into a position.
And so you say that you got one of the definitive positions in there, and you don't have pay rates for those defined positions?
No,
Like
sir,
the
there's not
schedule.
pay scale, no. There is.
So
no pay
you've
scale.
already got part of it done.
There is no pay scale. There's no starting. I have worked with our HR director to try to definitively say at clerk 1 is this responsibilities 2 and 3, because. For example, I have a current employee who is a clerk 3 who is out on leave. Well, how do I define if I'm trying to hire to backfill what that job was like versus somebody coming in as a clerk 1? So I've done that work. And the only thing I've ever been told is that clerk 1s will start at X. And then we evaluate where we believe in clerk 2 or clerk 3 starts at.
Yeah.
There's no formal pay scale, pay grade or anything like that that's been developed. I'm wholeheartedly in favor of having that so that we can all be on the same page. People can understand if they're being hired for one in one office at $14 an hour, why are they getting that in another office? And those kind of, so I fully support that and look forward to that.
So our payroll clerk is Ron. Ron, do we have anything in there that shows what wages are for clerk 1, clerk 2, clerk 3?
I don't think that the HR director was the one who came up with that.
But what did you have before that?
Before that, we just had the starting wage and then it was based on how long they've been here. And it went up based on that. And then when it was changed to this new system, in fact, I never was given a copy of that little.
So there is no new system because we never voted on a new system, but so technically we're still under the system that you've been using. That's why I'm asking that question of what is that system? How we've changed wages, but I don't think we've ever agreed to change quote unquote wage setting to get that done.
Correct.
We talked
Why
about.
she brought that up, and Rhonda actually worked on, or Stephanie worked on some examples, some other counties, and kind of came up with just a rough draft of ideas of a starting wage and ending wage for all the positions, but it just never.
So we just need to keep digging into that and figuring out what we're gonna do. And again, to Jay's point, I don't disagree with you.
And that's the first thing we need to do. is
We've
talk.
got to know how much money this county has, and of course, how it's gonna affect it, but we're not gonna know that information until we have looked into the budgets and know where the money's coming from. You know.
And again, this is well within my budget.
Right, and I believe you, what you told me back there, unless you're gonna blatantly lie on my first day, we got a long ways to go. But I believe what you're saying in here, and that's why I'm comfortable making the motion. And if discussions are, if everyone is happy with the discussion we had, I'd like to move back into voting. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry, I missed 2 seconds of that. Was that?
I didn't.
There it is.
Sorry.
And I do have this to be brought up at a later time during our meeting today to talk about. So maybe we can talk more about if you want to go with or whatever.
let's go back to you.
Yeah.
And, some of the key things you just said there was budget, and as long as you're within your budget, then you can do what you want. That hasn't been the case here, is because we've asked people to do these things within their budget, if you've watched some of the meetings, so that should be a very good topic for everybody to understand. Your budget is your budget, do what you want with it.
Yeah, but we're also over, we need to know what their budgets are.
Exactly.
That I think that's gonna help us.
Well, and where they're at.
Right, and what we're wanting, and this DIC, I know this county has DIC, and that is such a great tool.
Have you gotten your sign on?
I have not, which I'm sure we'll get all that after this. This is the top one, right? That's such a great tool.
I choose not to sum into that.
You didn't want it?
No.
Oh, you're
Not that I want, I don't need it.
Oh, it's not, yeah. But it's such a great tool, and just even to be able to go in there and just look at where we're at, have a somewhat up to date, you're not gonna get.
We're gonna report you a lot of each meeting, next, for each month, we're going to know stuff.
And, yeah. That's good.
Okay.
So. Okay, so.
I know this next lady,
Look, and I don't wanna mess her name up, Lois. Lois Butel, Senior Center. How are you?
It's fine.
Would you like to speak to us?
Yes, I would. I was, non-human complaints. And that. I was here when the complaint came in and complained, and the Stephanie, I guess she can read you guys, and you refer to Stephanie. And she complained about Tammy using elder abuse on her, which is a flat out lie. Woman, I've been playing over there for the last over 10 years, and she causes problems every Friday morning. She's got something to complain about. And then when I'm down in Texas over Christmas, I get a phone call saying that Tammy has been released. So I called Jay. And Jay said that it had nothing to do with.
actually, I said I can't talk about personnel.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. And then, but I don't think that Stephanie handled it at all well. She didn't. I was here the day the gals came in complaining about Tammy. And she met with both of them, and then when I went in to see her, she said she didn't have time. She would call me, which she did call me, but I tried to tell her this problem that this Bonnie did calls all this time. And she said, I'm not here to review her, I'm here to review Tammy. And I said, well, how are you gonna review Tammy if you don't know what's going on over there? From nobody that goes every Friday and knows what's going on. And she said, that's not mine, she said, I'm here to review Tammy, which I thought was completely wrong. You listen to both sides of the story and then you review them. And then when I got back and found out that Tammy had lost her job, I thought it was handled, whether it had anything to do with this bingo deal or not. I thought it was handled poorly. Tammy's done a good job for the county. He's worked hard. I don't know her personally, I just know her from working, and we've gotten along. I'm on the board of the senior center, and I've had no problems with her. If I have an objection to something, I go and talk to her. And if she has an objection to something I'm doing, she comes and talks to me. And that's the way it should be handled. I don't know why you let her go, but I think it was done poorly, and I just wanted to come and voice my opinion. Let you know.
I was not here or involved in any of that, so I really can't speak to any of that, but I do appreciate your voice.
I wish I could, but I can't because it's a personal issue and. I mean, I wouldn't talk about anybody else, and I can't talk about hers either, so. I mean, that's just part of the law as is, we can't talk about it. I wish I could, but. As he says, there's some other avenue, And I don't know of one, so. But I believe when it comes to personal issues, they stay that way, it's disciplinary action and it's handled internally and. The board you're on is what board?
Come on, Osage County Senior Center.
So I'll take you back in history. Was that the board that at one time ran the senior center?
Yes,
Was there not? Okay, so at one time they were the function.
well, no, it's always been county commissioner front,
Okay.
since I've been there.
And the reason I'm asking that is because personnel issues, they should not be discussed with that board either. Because personnel issues should stay their county employees, so all the personnel discussions should be held here. Either in an executive session or with HR should not be held with any other board or anything else in the county. That's why I'm asking that question, and I didn't know how that was set up, so.
Wanted to voice my opinion, which I have. I don't agree with you guys. I
Any
guess,
job we live in a country where that's okay, right?
yeah. I can still voice my opinion.
You've done it great.
So if you want, and I don't know whether it's here earlier this morning or not, but we have hired a replacement, her name is Frances Stevens. And I don't recall what it was.
2 times
What
more.
it was going,
Sorry, Graham.
her start date.
She's gonna come in one day this week, hopefully she can come to the senior center, and I will let you guys know as soon as we know, I know that she's coming in. But she's gonna, for sure, start coming on Saturday until she can start full time. But she's got 20 years experience in the senior center and transportation. Is she probably got? Yeah.
I'm good, I heard you can read that, we're gonna check that, I know you don't have to be from this county, but it helps. You represent the communities. You live here.
Yes, ma'am.
We had that same problem in the county for all.
Wow. Is there anything further? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lois. Have a great day.
Thank you, Michelle.
Assume number 11 is where,
Oh, here we go. No, no, sorry.
Aubrey Vanderbilt, is that correct? Vanderbilt. Question on county phone service,
Come on up, Auburn.
front and center.
So I asked her to be on her because she sent me a letter and I told her that she would probably be best to put this on the agenda. So if you want, I can read your letter, you can letter, or you can just start it, whatever you like. Read it?
No.
You want me to read it? Okay. You want to read it?
Nope.
Okay.
It's not really right now. Yes. The problem
I
is,
did not. I read it to y'all. Go ahead with your concern.
Nobody answers the phone in the treasurer's office. So multiple times a week, when we have multiple things, and we need to know what the X amounts are, because they're not. But they have to collect interest on it, they're not paying. Evaluated. There are other counties who have calculators on their website. Which is awesome if we do that, or tell me I calculated it. Some, you know. Otherwise, I just have to guess. And then if somewhere comes up, she goes in there, she asks for an amount. And if I guessed low, I eat it. I eat hundreds of dollars. Taxes, they don't think it.
So this is for closings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. And again, I'm learning everything, so, really, I guess I don't understand.
This one.
What do we do? About, I mean, Cause we can chastise and tell them. That,
Yeah. I
how
mean,
how do we
I
help,
would
how
love
do
to
we
figure
change?
out a way to calculate it, which
Right,
is my job, but tell me how to calculate it and I would love to give you the correct amount, but at this point, with as much money as I've lost, I feel like I don't want to let the commission come anymore. I'll give you what you're owed and you figure it out. That's how I feel.
So if that, so if you collect the tax literally, you send it in, and what happens? If
But it
there's,
has to mean if it's not the right amount, which it's never gonna be the right amount if I don't get an answer. I always have to just
Right.
guess, and most of the time, if I've forgotten what I've guessed and I send it and they come back and figure out, no, it's correct. It's fine, I just. need
so
to
from
know.
your position, you can't go back to the people and get your money back after you get it.
Can, but the business,
It's not, but that wouldn't be it again.
because it's my fault at that point. You know, that's how they do it.
So Josh, you have any,
and then if you try to overcharge, good luck paying them.
Yes.
People
Yeah,
back.
and I overcharge and then I'll just give them a check back for this, but, and I try to overcharge, that my goal is to overcharge, and I tell people that, like, hey, I can't get an answer, so this is what I did. And they say, "Okay, this is the check back." Then you get a check that somebody doesn't cash.
So this is at closing and it just shows the taxes due.
Yes,
And where do you get that dollar from?
from the, okay.
And so from the time you get that dollar amount until the day of the closing,
Yeah,
There might
it's due after, so like 2022 taxes are already due, somebody hasn't paid them yet, they need 10 days worth of interest rate. That is what we have.
so is there,
And having Mariah come in every day and ask for those is not okay.
Well, the problem is, it's going to fall in one day closing today. And we're not in Maria, then yes. Because she'll.
So I can tell you that the phones are not getting answered every time it rings. That's just been the reality of the whole tax season that we've had with all the tax issues and mailings, and people trying to get hold of us. We've had over 500 calls in one day that we're just physically unable to return. So I'll just kind of make this blanket statement since you brought it up for anybody that's watching. We have been short-staffed. We had half of our staff out last week sick. And so we are answering phones with other departments if they're available to come and help, as well as our staff. We're getting a lot of calls routed to us from other departments because folks are calling other county numbers trying to get through to us. And so we are answering those as quickly as we can as far as messages, or answering them in between customers that are coming up. But when we have one person working the counter and it's nonstop all day, and we're helping customers from the administrative side as well. You know, the phones are just not going to get answered every time. So I am disappointed that we don't have the staff to do that, but that's just the reality of work.
Is there a way to tell me?
I mean, I can tell you how this, like the state percentages and things like that. I'd be curious to know what counties you say have it on the website.
I believe that was County does.
Okay. Because I would love to look into those.
You think that you're gonna pay and because you.
I'll look into those absolutely, because you're not the only one that calls to get that information. We get calls all the time. And I know it does only give you the tax amount on our website today. So I'm happy to look into that absolutely. I'm hoping that someday we can do tax payments online too, so.
Is email an option, especially for
Asked before, not you, I had asked Leah. I just email you a whole list and she. Okay, I don't know.
You're welcome to email me. Don't believe it.
Right.
So, but you're welcome to email me directly. That's okay. And we are setting up a generic treasurer email so that even if I'm out, because I usually don't get all those, then anybody on my team can access those and respond to them.
Because that seems like it would be similar to open records requests, where under state law, we have to provide a response within 3 days, but that response is at least an initial response, so you know it's been received.
Yeah.
And you can start the process, and so the same type of professional relationship may be able to be worked out to be able to. Yes, I've received it, we're slammed today because a clue, whatever, but you can expect a reply by tomorrow or whatever it is. And so just, I don't know what your turnaround time when you need that interest is.
Usually, you know, like.
You do.
Well, that's what would be ideal, is that there's a couple options, because like, if you know you have a closing in 10 days, well, if you can get the information in advance, then you've got it.
Yeah.
If you know how to calculate, then the second thing is you know how to calculate it, and then your closing doesn't happen in 10 days and it gets pushed back another 4. You can go ahead, and you know to calculate, but if you can get the information enough time in advance of your closing, you can calculate it and have it, and
Yeah, which Mariah comes up, usually comes every day, but can you look these properties up and calculate it out to this date and we'll do that, so. But email.
How many, I mean, I know that works for the mass stuff, somebody come up, but what if there's people from other areas, how do they go about getting it? I guess my concern, let's say that somebody sends it, when I read the letter, you send the check for the amount of taxes you have. It comes into your office and it's not the correct amount, what happens? Because it didn't have the interest collected, if I'm reading that right, so we have that, so what would happen at that point in time?
If it's current year tax, we can accept a partial payment, it has to be paid in full, so we would contact that person, whether by phone or letter. Depending on what information you have available to us, and let them know that we've received your payment, it's not enough, you owe an additional law as of this date, and that date is typically when we. Either when they're, have left us the money or by when it's postmarked. So right now, we're dealing with a lot of postmark mail prior to the 27th. So whatever day that would be considered on time, if it was postmarked by the 27th. And we would say, you know, you owe an additional block. We've had a lot of people send in checks for 2021 because they didn't have 22 statements yet. And so the amounts may be more, maybe not enough. If it's too much, then we will process their payment and then we send a refund check. If it's for prior year taxes, we can take partial payment.
So
So we
when,
would apply whatever they send us and still contact them in whatever manner to tell them, we've applied your payment of X, you still owe blah because this payment is delinquent.
so you apply the payment and then send them the
For
notices?
prior year taxes.
Okay, so let's say this year, if I paid, if I'm gonna use this for. She closes on a property and she doesn't know what it is, so she sends what the taxes show, so she sends it in. Does that, we don't accept that then?
We hold that
Doesn't happen.
payment until it's paid in full.
Even if it's only gotta be required to pay half, why would we do that? Why would we take the money and send them the bill in May when they're?
Not in full as in full year, as in first half full amount. So today it would be delinquent. If the taxes are only $500 and you said $500, that's not gonna be enough to satisfy the delinquency. So we will contact you and say, we received your $500 as of this date that we received this, you would still owe an additional X for penalties and fees. And we need to receive that in order to apply your fee.
I was just trying to clarify, because from her standpoint right now, if it was this year. Nobody's late until May, right, on their full payment? Or is their full payment due on 12/20?
No, first half.
So if they had, let's say their taxes were. $3,000 and they had $78 in penalties and they paid her $3,000, she turns in $3,000. The $78 technically, and it's not late until May, or they pay it in May, or they
The
can't. pay
system
it.
only calculates the penalties and fees based on that point in time to the forecast. The fee from the state is 10% per year, calculated daily.
Right, my point is when it gets collected, though, if somebody doesn't pay the full amount on 12/20, if they pay 75% of it.
We will not accept their payment. We cannot post a partial payment for current year tax.
So you're saying that in December, they have to pay a full year's payments.
Well, first half.
So that's what I'm saying, if they're paying 75% of it, we can accept that because the other 25% plus that late fee.
No, we cannot. We can accept first half or full year.
There can't be a number.
There can't be 85, 55, 75. It's either your first half or the full year.
Really? I didn't know that. That sounds crazy to me, but
Probably would require a system change, CIC, if we were to do anything different. Because it just won't let you, it won't let you apply second half payments before first half payments. I
so
mean,
how do you?
it's broken.
If somebody was to pay it. If you had a post dated one that was on January 2nd. and you call them January 9th, you're not gonna charge them those other 7 days. How do you get the system, how do you get the system to back out of that?
You can tell it the penalty date to apply the penalties.
That's, I guess that's what I was getting at, because the question is, we control when that penalty day starts, and that's when we put the data, not when the system does put the data. It's not when
We have to put the date in the system, so it's set by the state at 20th of December. When we extended it, I had to go in and I had to change it to the 27th.
I'm still confused on if somebody pays more than half in December, because the law says they gotta pay half, right? And the other half didn't do till May. If they decide to pay what extra, little extra they have, it blows my mind that we can't accept that. I just,
We are not a county that manages, payment plans, basically, is what that would be considered.
so would we not just send them back the rest of the money and keep what they sent? Keep what we need and send them back and check the rest? So if somebody sent a check for $10,000, but was off by $12 on penalties, we can't take a $10,000 payment.
We would collect the $12 that they would owe for the delinquency.
Well, forward we've cashed the $10,000 check.
Yes.
That makes no sense to me. I mean, that's just me, but as a business owner,
Because your
I know
payment
that-
is not paid in full, so do you want to float that money for the taxpayers and hope that we get it?
I think it's in the bill. That's what I'm thinking
So
out
we
loud.
either
No,
send them a
I'm
letter,
thinking as a business.
we either send them a letter, or we call them to tell them. We received this, your payment is this, you owe us X.
Does your system have the ability to apply a partial payment?
No, it doesn't let you. That's what I'm saying, I have to look at the CIC, it's a system programming, whether it lets you do that or not.
Which I believe if you would reach out to them, I believe that they can adjust that. I'm not
They-
100%
they
sure on
probably
the
can.
tax portion. I just know on our billing, you know, what we deal with over there, we can't apply partial payments,
But then,
but it may be different. Some
and
of
you
that-
can for prior years,
Right,
yeah,
just not for the current year.
right. It only lets you take half or full.
And that may be distinct from a payment plan, which I understand a lot of counties will not do payment plans.
Right.
But when it comes to your concern.
If it's in pay, I understand.
Like a collection agency, if, you know, if you've got the opportunity to take some money, you're gonna take it. And that will reduce their tax burden, but they'll still have to do an amount of due owing for purposes of the September delinquency notices. So even if they owe $1, they're still gonna be in the paper. But
And so I can follow up with CIC on that. If that's something the commissioners want to look at a policy change, then that would be a discussion at that point. But currently, the way it's programmed, and it's been programmed since, I'm assuming we went live how many years ago.
And I would assume on the industry side that there's still going to be some sort of disclaimer at closing that you're responsible for your taxes regardless.
For sure, but
I mean, you'd like to be close, but
yeah.
you know,
the people-
it may be the day, it may be calculated as to the 16th and you have to move it one day at closing and you're scrambling and they're gonna still have to be responsible.
Yeah.
But they've got 3 years most of the time for residential to get it right.
Yeah. But
Do we need anything further on this? Any motion by the commissioners?
I don't know.
I think if you two are just gonna work together, yeah, I don't think we need anything.
Generally, yeah.
So what come up, the question was about phones, so. Are the phones getting answered on a regular basis in that office, I guess is the question, that's the one, I've had that question more than any from anybody.
when we have the staff available and we're not helping customers at the counter, we are answering the phone, or we're returning calls, or we're taking transfer calls.
So if they can't get a hold of their, what do they need to do? If they can't, they don't know your email, or do you want to get your email out so they
They
can?
have a website, see Foster, or.
Okay.
And a lot of them do.
How far understaffed are you?
We are understaffed, 2 full-time people, and, like I said, today, we have a part-timer that's resigned. Last day of the night.
And is your office always that busy with phone calls? Or is this something with all the change in tax season? It
I mean,
does
it's
talk.
pretty regular with motor vehicle people calling in, that's pretty consistent, but with the challenges we had with the tax statement mailing this year and people not getting them or not getting them all together, I mean, this is my first year during tax season.
Right, right.
So I can only assume that it's not normally this busy, but it's usually pretty.
I think with the complication of the issue with the mailers, I went down one day and answered phones for about 3 hours and 4 hours maybe. I was on the phone for 4 hours straight. I mean, I was just, as soon as I got off the phone and rang, I picked up, I mean. So
And even when we've had, one person, people to sit at the phones, there's 3 lines ringing.
Right.
Nonstop.
Right.
And you've got
There will be busy
season.
seasons and there will be slow seasons. During the busy season, it can be frustrating if you can't.
We're just, asking the questions for my own information, of course, and then we work pretty closely with you guys, I assume, so if there's a 911 route for her or something of that nature, you don't want to extend that there very far, but.
Now, something that did also occur that was helpful, which I think I would like to see more of, is different departments have busy seasons at different times. So when you're busy, reach out to the other departments and say, hey, this week, if you have anyone that has downtime, I get, do someone answering phones or Stephanie will.
Right.
And I do know that, I think HR helped out. Missy helped out. Land development.
I mean, even Caitlin said, what can we do?
And the appraiser wants to see, so there was some like department sharing, so I think that like all the departments could work together when it's their busy season. Reach out to the other departments and when the, ebbs and flows. Help the other departments out when you have some downtime.
Right, this year, a lot of them had their tax statements, is that correct? I mean, that's what most of the phone calls are, is for people wanting to pay their tax or not being able to get it or whatever.
Every single phone call I took was about, I haven't received my tax statement, how do I know what I owe? And
Or have some, all.
it
And there
was,
was a
every phone
cost.
call was about the tax statement and they hadn't received it, which was
So
a mailer issue.
historically, has this always been an issue for you, or is it just now, or has this been? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we not.
Cause my next question would be based on that, would be directed at you guys, that historically, this is always the way it is, is there a avenue to get temporary labor, someone in cheaply just to answer phone? If that's an answer, I don't know.
The problem is they need to know how to run the system. And so
Right.
it's like better, in my mind, share employees who already.
Well, or even somebody that's just, that is their job, is to take down messages on the phone system. And I don't know, I'm just making it, I don't know if this is if this is gonna resolve itself, once everything gets back on its feet, then it's not an issue, but if it's historically been a long time been an issue, how do we fix it? But
So one of the big complaints I had when I first started was people weren't answering phones. And so we did that. We had every new person that came in, you're gonna start on the phones because you'll get all kinds of questions and answers and that helps them learn. And with the turnover of staff and all of those different things, we've not been able to keep enough staff to dedicate one person on the phones. But they do answer them in between customers when they can. And
What's the current staff number up there? Not counting the part-time.
not counting part-time, we have 3 full-time staff
And you got
and
one,
one on leave and one open position. Full-time position,
and then you got one part-time, or 2 part-time.
one part-time open position.
Is that, if all those people are here? Is that gonna make us sufficient to answer phones? And all that?
That would have a person dedicated to answer phones all day.
So you need 3, 4, 5 people up there at all times. That's what I'm counting. I'm in my mind, because I'm counting 3 full-time, 1 full-time that's not here, so I can get 4. And then 1 part-time, or I'm assuming they're not here at the same time, or are they here at the same time?
Those separate times.
So 3, 4, 5 plus yourself, so if it takes 6 people, 5. That correct?
I'm not sure I'm following you, but
I'm trying to think in my own mind, how many people do we need in there to make your office? So everything's covered with Nancy, everything says a 4 plus the 1 part-time and plus yourself, so that'd be 5 plus 1.
I don't know that I can
I mean, I know you can't answer that based if you got 5,000 phone calls coming at one time, but I'm.
Well, so I'll tell you the first of the month and the end of the month, we have people down the stairs
From over.
for motor vehicles, so there's no right answer.
There's busy times. and
There's busy times and there's. Yeah, so, what people also don't like to see, what taxpayers don't like to see is when they come upstairs and they see somebody sitting at the desk waiting for the phone to ring and they're not home. And we've got everybody able to, they're concentrating to take motor vehicle and tax payments for that reason, because we have ebbs and flows. But again, today, the phone may not be ringing off the hook.
So, and I'm just gonna keep asking questions so I learn exactly what this is. In your portion of this. Daily, you're gonna be calling the courthouse looking for how to calculate what the percentage is or whatever. Yeah. Is there, do you have a person that updates that daily? Do they physically put that information somewhere? What I'm getting at is if they're already in there, can they send their office an email? With whatever the daily percent is, whatever the monthly percent is, it doesn't work that way
Like I call and say this is a checking number, I need it
for certain parcels.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like it's just one
No,
blanket, it's so for each part. Okay, yeah, that would work.
So like for the tax statements, we had where they get contacted in our office, would that work for this? Probably not, because it won't figure the, like she couldn't call the appraiser's office and get it, because it's not gonna have the.
I don't know that they. Each department does different things, so you have, I have access to certain stuff, they have access to certain things, so I don't think that would. Today,
Right,
I don't think that would. I don't know.
right, because I know on the tax statements, it was past the date, so then you print tax statements, so that's why I'm asking, would there be something in, like, if I went to the appraiser's office or clerk's office? Where they print a tax statement, can they print?
The tax statements only print you current tax, it will never print you
Okay,
penalties and fees. That's something you have to physically look at.
So what would it take to get our website to? Didn't you say there was some websites that do that have a
I can
calculator?
look into those and see how they're doing it. I don't know if they use CIC. Because there is a tax payment portal that CIC has that we don't leverage.
Right,
And that's another thing on my list for things I'd like to be able to get up and going and fast and be a good solution for Osage. So that.
that would solve the problem altogether, would it not?
so if they're paying you online or whatever, how's that getting done? Because it's not gonna figure penalty. So all those are gonna be wrong.
Correct. And they have to put in a phone number for credit card payments, and then we call them and we let them know your payment was for taxes only. It was received late, you now have penalties and fees of X, Y, Z. And most times they will make a second credit card payment for that. But it is not tied to the ability to look up and see what that amount is for them to pay, which is what I would hope. Again, I don't know enough about it. I've heard about it, which I'm hoping the CIC portal would allow us to do, is that if I logged into it to make a payment, it would tell me today you owe X, Y, Z.
I know the state has something because I've seen it in there when I've gone through and did my sales tax stuff, it always say. If it's not that day, they'll add the penalty and the penalty and interest.
Right, but we have different penalties at different times as well. Which you get a publication fee if we put you in the paper, you get a court fee if it goes to court, if it's paid, and those happen at different times as well, so it's not a one-time fee that just happens, they're stacked.
Sounds to me like we need to speak with the CIC and find out what that entails, and then maybe do some research into how we're getting that calculator, or how to get that calculator on our website.
And I'll ask other treasurers that use CIC too, if they use that.
Especially if we want to go to online payments or
Right.
whatever, we're gonna have to figure that out because you can't take an online payment if you can't. You can't figure the whole amount. I mean, you'd have a nightmare continually. Welcome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's issues everywhere you go. You just gotta work to solve them. That's just bottom line. I don't know if there's anything.
No,
Yeah, that's good. You're free to leave.
appreciate it.
Did we answer your questions?
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
And then if you guys want to exchange information or whatever, I don't.
Yeah, I'll reach out to her.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are familiar.
Thank you.
Take care. I'm gonna assume, didn't you say law enforcement?
We have to wait till
11 o'clock,
11 o'clock to
so we'll
open it,
just
yeah.
wait to even open that.
Yep.
We did have a meeting.
Are we adjourning until 11 or do we have a business by 9 o'clock, 11 or what's?
Yeah, well, Rhonda may have stuff, I don't.
So that's up to. You have things.
Just the minutes and then, if you wanted to move up and talk about commissioners' comments and concerns earlier, I did bring down another, set of these.
Yes.
But whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
You go that out.
Close to that.
Yeah, I mean, you do minutes and,
The server won't be pretty quick. I think the other one will be pretty quick too, so.
So which would you guys like to move to first? Let's
Go down to number 12.
Go ahead, going down to Commissioner.
Do you have the server or you?
I brought in a copy of it down, which of course last year, last weekend, so I brought a copy.
last week this was given to us.
So fill in less on what exactly this is.
So as we are expanding departments using CIC, all of the off-site departments don't have access to CIC.
Mhm.
So, as we've added the chart of accounts, which actually that's starting
This month. this
any day
year.
now. So, the departments pick their chart of accounts, that's gonna start up. But the off-site departments need access to CIC. So when we talked with Sunny, he had talked about how, like when I have CIC on my computer, but when I would work from home, he just had me do a remote into a computer here. It
Uh-huh,
was awful. It was very slow.
right.
And so, as we talked about that, and some of the people that are very more techy than I am, they agreed, you've got to remote into the server. So Sunny didn't want them remoting into the main server, so his proposal here is a smaller server, and there's a piece of equipment, he said, that of the two choices, which is the lower price one, is an old email server, and he believes that that can be used to be the secondary server for what we're needing. So we actually had Sunny maybe come in next week to talk about this, but I took this home and read it, and I'm comfortable with the second option. So he details in here the two options and then some of the additional software that has to be loaded and then what his price is to do this. The additional piece is like you talked about, being able to look up and see their expenditures, being able to manage their budget. We're also moving to using the budget prep tool for this budget season. And then the other piece is at some point to implement receipting. So all the departments that actually have transactions, they can put that into the system. They can run the reports and the deposit should match the receipts for either that day or that week or however they do that. And then that comes to the treasurer. So there's multiple pieces of features of CIC that we're going to be using at some point, but we've got to get all the offsite departments have access to it. So that's what this is a breakdown for a server. So I'm comfortable with option 2 at this point. I mean, I'm okay with both of them, but if he believes that the old in-house server will work, then I'm fine with that.
And you said he will be here next week?
Well, originally he couldn't come today, so we put him on for next week. And then I got to reading this and I thought, I really don't have any other questions for him. So I thought, well, I'll just bring it back. Or we could, and I did ask him if we could call him if we had questions, but after I spent a little time and read it, then I was comfortable with both options, but I think option 2 would be fine at this point.
In my experience, it does make me nervous about repurposing an old server. I'd be curious how old that server is. I mean, it does stay in here that it has enough processing power to serve the requirements. But it's not under warranty, of course.
Well,
And it says for an extra amount, you can get a warranty on it, but If this is something that's gonna be necessary, I mean, is this a trial run or is this something that we're gonna be looking to do
Well, this is long term.
for long term? Because then you're looking at the difference of $4,300. What's it gonna cost us if we do option two? And I'm just playing devil's advocate here. What's it gonna cost us to do option two and then turn around a year later? and
I'm
have to look
okay
at
with both of
option
them.
one?
I am okay with both.
I would like to ask Sonny some questions, that's why I was hoping to do it, but because $4,800 is $4,800, I mean, it's $5,000, $5,000, that's,
Yeah, it's money.
yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking. We save it,
a lot.
right? But the only reason I ask the question is we save that amount right now. But do we save it later? You know what I mean? Is it something that we're concerned with we get a year down the road and then we'll turn around and spend the $10,000 to replace it. So now we're spending $16,000. 10.
Those would be good questions to have, and this
That's
is
the only question I have.
a week, I don't think will slow this process down, so I think it's really might be worth having him heard of.
Yeah, and I appreciate, your sentiments in there and the information. That's the only thing that concerns me with. Because we did go through a very lengthy, update in the city of Burlingame with all of our tech IT. And we spent, a lot of money and learned some things that we just don't do. And one of the things is taking old equipment and trying to reuse it for a long-term process. We put Band-Aids on some, but we would pay $1,500 and then turn around and $8,000 to get it right.
Yeah.
So that would be that's my only concern. Other than that, I think it's great. I think that we should have those capabilities. We definitely have to have the security. But I agree with
It'll
you.
serve, may only be a year old, I have no idea.
And that's the thing. I don't know how old it
He
is.
said he'll be available a little bit this fall, so whenever he's available, we can call
That'd
him.
be great. Good. What other commissioner comments and concerns?
On the discussion of pay rate policy, so I don't know how to word this, so it's whether we want to. If somebody would like to make a motion that we want to have a wage study done, or we need to fix a policy on what we're going to do, so we don't know what we just talked about this morning. We need to figure out what we're going to do, so every department understands what we're going to do, or we're going to have a mass run-in starting next week of what just took place today and get ready. So I would say we need to do this effective pretty quick. Or
I think there are a couple different items. One is a wage study, and I will tell you, I don't really know what that encompasses. I don't really know who performs it,
Right.
what it involves, what your end product is. So I would need to learn more about that. I've used the word wage study because that's what I've heard before when people say when they're trying to find competitive wages.
Right.
I don't know if we need a wage study or not, or if it's something that our HR can look at surrounding counties and we look at that ourselves and then determine what we're comfortable with. So I guess maybe I need to educate myself more, or both of you know what a wage study is, you can enlighten me on that. That's one item to determine.
so let's talk about
Wages.
first. I did a little checking on that. I know wage study, there are counties that perform these, and what they do is they come in. And they don't do the counties around you, they do the counties your size.
Right.
So that's how they get a wage study, is based on the whole number. They try to get similar populations, similar numbers. Because that's what you're trying to compare yourself to. We can't compete with Shawnee County, we know that. We can't compete hardly with Franklin County because of the tax dollars they got. So you got to put Osage City on a scale of who it's actually with. So I don't know who it is. I mean, we got our 20 group and
Does
it's.
the CAC have any resources regarding comparative? I know that the Kansas County District Attorneys Association conducts a wage survey as part of our membership. But this would be much broader, obviously, because of the functions of the county. The other thing, I don't mean to butt in, with the employee handbook, the policies, financial policies that we've been tasked, providing you with a uniform draft on, I think a lot of the things have been referenced today and other days regarding merit reviews, performance reviews, documentation that could be used by department heads to do that on a regular basis, and then some sort of expectation that you communicate to elected and appointed department heads as far as at what time you'll consider those requests, when's an appropriate time versus, ad hoc. We could maybe use that policy manual review in the next 2 to 4 weeks as a starting point for that. And then just basically communicate that there's obviously always going to be the two department heads, there's always going to be emergency issues related to restructuring because employees are leaving, that you may have to consider a case by case, but that is certainly not the norm. And that the presumption is going to be in the future that is going to be done pursuant to policy. So they can test their luck by coming in, but it's going to be frowned upon if it's not an extraordinary circumstance.
So the wage study, we can definitely put out a request for proposal, which would cost anything, we find out real quick what it costs to have a wage study done like that. So I would make a motion, we put out a request for proposal for a wage study to be done.
I'll second that motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll work with Stephanie to draft that based on hopefully a template that another county has used. Could we look at that to approve it 2 weeks from today, since next week's Martin Luther King Day?
Then the other side of that is the classification graded pay scale. I think those kind of go hand in hand. And I think that will help the department heads also be able to manage their employees as if they have employees that are wanting to move into other positions, to know what kind of skill they would need to attain to be able to move into those next positions. And like I said, they would have a beginning range and an end range. So each position would have a range.
Right. Which again, we have to start somewhere. I think this is a great starting point. Figure out if we can even afford to do the rate study first off. That'll tell us where we can go from there. And I think the department heads, we need to let them know they should be working on something like this if they're not already. Because they're the ones that are right there with their job. We don't necessarily have to approve it, but we need to know what they think and how they feel. They're the ones in their offices.
I do think, we can ask Stephanie, I think there have been definitions and descriptions given to HR. Before she was here, there was a kind of a temporary person, and so he kind of gathered things from some departments and kind of started a binder. And then I think when Amanda was here, she might have worked on that. And then now that HR is here, that might be partially done or close to being done, where the departments had either what was already on hand. So they would probably need to see what's on hand and then review and decide if there needs to be any edits on any of that. But that would be a question for.
One of the things that,
I just heard.
when I was reading on some of the people that have done these, it doesn't mean it happens overnight. There's a lot of them that take a 3 to 5 year program to put these into place, but we don't even know where we're at. So we're dealing from a position that,
The League of Municipalities, and there was recent wage studies done by the different counties, and I have access to that information. Again, we just have to find a county that's similar in construction as ours, and we can.
which KFC could definitely help with that, because you call them significant counties that are 14,000, 15,000 people.
And then we need to look at, like, as far as job classification, so that, and I had tried to present that when I first came on board. Administrative positions and clerk 1, clerk 2, whatever, and then the drivers or the road and bridge people, depending upon what kind of CDL they have. And that's something else that we get from the KAC also. So there's stuff out there that we would be able to pull from.
So they've approved an RFP going out for a wage study. I've suggested that I work with you over the next 2 weeks or something for them to approve in 2 weeks that we'd send out. But do you mind, I guess, taking your work to date, and you and I can talk over the next week or two? And then if you come across an RFP that they've used in the context of those studies.
Wage studies, okay,
Yeah.
because they can be expensive.
But, and you may.
That's why
you may
we
decide
decided
in
to
2 months,
proposal, we want to find out how much.
You may decide in 2 weeks that there's enough.
Yeah, they just
Free
recently
work
did a
out there
wage
that
study.
you can do, you don't need to spend anything right now
Right.
Yeah,
to not recreate the wheel.
And that was, I know Shawnee County just approved one. And I don't remember the amount they said, but it was, I thought it was 6 figures. But
yeah.
they got a lot more employees, but no, also, you know.
It's not cheaper, no record request, a lot cheaper.
But here's the thing, is even if you do a wage study, it doesn't mean changing that day, because quite frankly, our budgets are set for this year.
Yeah,
Our budgets are set way in advance, so even if you get a wage study, it may be where, hey, we say, we're gonna get a wage study, but this is may not be implemented in the law. I mean, it may take. 2
well, the
years
Bureau of
or
Labor
4 years.
Statistics information is usually a year or 2 years old anyway. And that's where a lot of the stuff that we, when I first came on board, were using, because the KAC hadn't completed the current one. Well, now they've completed that, so that's within the last year. So we would have the information from the other county current or recent information, so.
So maybe we find out wage studies are more than we want to pay or
Yeah,
whatever.
it may be something you may not.
And it may be that we find that we can collect the data and just do some of the work ourselves.
Yeah,
So on those wage studies, will they break it down like wages, insurance, benefits? They show all that on there, or they just, because and quite frankly, we've had discussions with people and they go, you guys pay 100% insurance? Really? I mean, that like that surprise, I'm like, I figured that was illegal.
and mostly they're mostly wages, they don't go into benefits, because some positions, they get bonuses and things like that, so they don't, most of the wage studies, unless you direct them to put in those benefits, most basic wage studies are just wages. And on that point, I'm hoping that by the end of February, we'll be able to use the total compensation letters out. Because we have that capability.
Is that what we had you do last time? Is that
Well,
what?
we didn't send them out, but we have the capability in CIC.
We showed they came in when they signed. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
knew it
that'll
was
show,
something.
that'll show the value of their benefits.
Their benefits, so that's something I think that would be nice to be sent out.
Well, I think that will help us, that if we start looking at these positions and if we end up being the ones that are determining the starting and ending range, you have to take into account the value of the benefits also.
And see, I can pull that information into a spreadsheet, so you'll see what their basic wages are, but also the additional compensation that we are, and compared to the other counties, we don't know what they're paying on.
Exactly. So that was like, if we're gonna be able to request a proposal, if we're actually gonna send it out. I would- well, It's
Well,
not interviews based on this wage.
and it may be good to, before you send those out, you may want to decide how you communicate that to the public and to the employees, because usually it's not just total compensation, but here's the value of your benefits. It would also be relevant whether the county were to move to a 90-10, 80-20, 70-30 employee cost share. And then as part of the compensation, looking at what the state does, I know that they had a range of splits, as well as other counties do as far as subsidizing but not paying 100%.
Well, and that's where I could reach out, because through my listserv with the county, I could check with, depending on what counties we decided were similar. I could reach out to those HR departments, they could share with me the percentages that they pay on the benefits, so then I would be able to take their wages and plug in the amounts that they pay for the compensation for their benefits thing, and make a comparable wage. A comparison.
Yeah. The policy matters. If you move to an 80-20 and give a huge increase and making the same compensation,
Yeah.
who's not getting credit for it.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. No changes to the motion made or nothing. I think if you guys can work together and bring it back in 2 weeks, all right? And we'll review it then. You're just happy with that?
If you can reach out to KAC, I'm good with that.
I'm sorry,
If you want to reach out to KAC to get information,
Yeah.
to it, and that's.
I'll do
Yeah, do we need to grant any kind of special permission when they reach out to third party entities or anything like that?
No.
Sometimes we do.
We don't have it.
Okay, I didn't think so.
As long as I'm making a decision or any of the contract, well,
Right,
we could probably recess until we come back. Unless someone else,
Let me see if I've heard.
we just had the minutes.
Oh, Sunny said he's available.
Is available.
You want to call?
there you go.
Hey, Sonny, this is the Osage County Commissioners, this is Glenn, how are you? Good, hey, we have a couple of questions for you, and I'm gonna let Jay ask his question first.
Hey, Sonny J here. What's the age of the server we're talking about potentially using?
Oh, the one that we're thinking about is, I want to say off the top of my head, it is 4 years or 5 years. I can't remember off the top of my head.
So if we were to use that, what's the life expectancy of that thing?
Like I said, Dell will cover us for another 1.5 years on that sucker. But because this is a remote server, I honestly would not, if it was me, I would not spend too much money on a server. That's your prerogative, you know.
That was our question. Are we better off going with the new server versus the old one?
Today, as we speak, I would recommend let's just stick with it.
With the old one?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm just trying to save you guys some money there.
Well, sorry not to interrupt, but, cut the saving money portion out, not that I don't wanna save money, but in your honest opinion. If we purchase this option 2 at $6,194, we do that today. Are you comfortable with the equipment that we have, that we're not gonna be spending another $6,000 in a year?
No, we're not gonna be spending another $6,000 a year, no.
Okay, and you're confident in the equipment that we have, give us at least a 3 to 4 year window.
Absolutely, yeah, the server will come, the new server comes with a 3-year Dell warranty built into it.
So what's the life of the new server?
And so on the news, or
I expect to see on the new server, any server pretty much at this day and age, Heather is going to have a life expectancy of anywhere from 5 to 7 years. The low end servers will have 5 years, the high end servers typically 7 years.
so if we can get 3 to 4 out of using the equipment that we currently have, and we're on the right track.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You have any other questions for me, Jay?
Just how long will, if we choose to do this today and get that started, what's the time frame of getting everything in and set up and going?
Okay, we would have to order all the lights today. Somehow, I don't think we're going to just put this today. So, we're in from 3 to 4 weeks. We're gonna have to have another.
I would say as soon as possible, the better.
Right. And when you subcontract that, you already have a subcontractor, someone that you work with? Okay.
That I don't do stuff,
Okay. Okay.
And one other question, with this being that secondary server, when people are using it off-site, it's gonna run well and in real time, just as if you were at the courthouse versus having a lag.
Yes, yes.
So then who's in, and I'm gonna ask this question, because I'll probably ask it, and where does this money come from?
I'm guessing this is gonna have to come out of the courthouse. I don't know what the
You can always
courthouse,
take it out of either federal land entitlement or out of the courthouse.
courthouse capital outlay is what I.
I recommend take it out of the courthouse.
Well, and without having it right in front of me, knowing what the total dollar of it.
Like, would you like me to look it up? We have CIC, we can put on the screen.
Right,
Rhonda just logged in,
good.
pull it up.
But in this case, I will take your guys' recommendation, so, okay, Sonny, well, I don't think we have anything, you have anything further for Sonny? Heather?
No.
Thanks, Sonny.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Yeah.
So we don't have a sheet, so Heather, you wanna make a motion on this? Do we decide to?
If this was farther down the year, I would look this up first, but because it's a new year, everything started over with our budget, but I'll still look it up later on so we can see what it's at,
But
but.
like I said, man, it's the beginning of the year.
I can't, it's courthouse,
Capital.
I got about it.
So I would make a motion that we approve. And we decided on the second one, right? That we would approve option 2 for a remote access server at a cost of $6,194.26 to be paid out of the courthouse capital outlay fund. And do I need to say who it's to? Because
It'll be just several different people with like the license on.
Right.
From someone separate.
there's Windows Server, Microsoft Office, Sonic, VPN license, and then just Sunny and Josh, but I don't know if you need to list that all or not.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yes, sir. I motion that we recess for 5 minutes.
For bathroom.
Second.
I think we just need to put.
Second. All in favor? Opposed?
Yeah. So I was looking, I've been looking at some other agendas, I don't know who's it was. And they actually have a break in their agenda. It's like, with like 95 break. They actually give it a time. For us.
Commissioner, how are you, sir? Good. Nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much. We look forward to this, man.
Yeah,
And I didn't foresee all this
yeah.
right out of the gate, but
I was up to the state legislature, I imagine they're gonna do the same thing,
Oh, God, yeah.
right out the gate.
yeah, a busy day for the state of Kansas for sure. So your new fresh face,
Yeah.
how long have you been?
July, and we did some legal work. Previously, we were brought on as special counsel when we happened, we took it off something, so we've been around for a year. And a year, what, about 14 months probably.
Yes. And so does Caleb for you out there?
Yeah, so I knew Caleb, I met him when I was securities commissioner, he worked there before, we got to be good friends on several conferences together, and so. I became Jefferson County Counselor the same year he became Osage County Counselor.
Okay.
So we shared work product and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Eventually, he left for Advisors Excel, and I became county attorney in legislative securities. So we've kept in touch and whatever, but he recently left Advisors and I wanted to get back to practice law. And I was like, well, we need an attorney, so we joined up. And, yeah, you may see him.
It's pretty cool that it's.
Yeah.
Since he's been here before.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Local face too, so that's.
Yeah.
definitely a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Okay.
Real quick.
Yeah, he's one of the smartest attorneys I know.
Yeah.
He's a sharp.
Yeah, I went to school with him for a couple years.
Yeah.
So. The public data commission. Separate from, we'll go into that, but we need to add into it.
So I just
Make a motion.
budgeted reorganization. Board of the county.
It's already that way, but well, I had him because he's the one, which is fine. Sure.
Yeah.
We can just have to make another.
Yeah, that has, by virtue of.
Fund in the general.
Yes.
Yeah. And because we don't have to change it.
And then three.
We're still trying to close.
Oh, we're gonna try it. Oh.
I didn't. Just have.
Because we did it really worse. Okay, I mean, right now. We did it that way, it's supposed to, and now that we're gonna be about it. And then come over and do it. I did it twice, for the same thing.
What else do we have in the plate? I may, zoom out here a little early.
And we have anything else other than. PVC,
We just have to.
Wanted to show you guys, this is my son's first day at work as the shoe shiner at the state capitol.
Oh,
15. So I told him,
how's he get out of school?
my email, his school today, his inauguration day was great, great tips today. I said I was taking him to
So he's up there working now.
and then he's going to inauguration, but he does homeschool part-time and private school part-time, so it's pre-cap doesn't start until 1 on Tuesdays, Thursdays.
Which press?
They're awesome.
Oh, no. Are they in their new building yet?
They are in that what is it? It's in here.
What's right there on the highway?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's the gym.
That's just the gym.
The
Okay.
rest of it-
It's still all the way down the church on the,
Yeah.
okay, where the football.
No, not that, they're at the Greek Methodist
Oh.
in the Southwest, which is a beautiful campus, it's brick, and it looks like a private school. And they haven't acquired it yet, I think they're trying to make money off that. Not even they're at.
Oh, it's over there, and this is out. Mr. Craftsman. I'm sorry to look at Jeff. So,
Rather challenging.
Oh, my kid, my son graduated there. And then having my honors juniors.
Okay.
So we're familiar with top. Like
Meet us.
30 years, I know, they feed us. We're in we're a different league now, but yeah. And I had friends who went to school and they would, some of them played sports at their top.
I told him if to ask, he should just say it's part of his business, or as a consumer matter.
You can turn any activity into a homeschool. Let me tell you. From what?
Yeah. Recess.
I know. Dedication for the meeting.
Well, this shows 3.2, there wasn't
No, yes.
a budget for, but we used 24,000.
You can't do it once, you can't, so.
I have a meeting today.
There's no budget. Personnel services contracted on. There's personnel contractual commodities, capital outlay. Attention.
Some of us now, it's been good. I think it was that way. That one.
We'll do the actual budget, so the things written. When we got the budget.
So we're gonna have to get this right there.
Right, because like when we get all those.
That's separate.
We're gonna see what we're going to know that, because all we have is. He would not have this.
It's,
That's my.
Right.
Very.
So or not.
It's all.
Yeah.
And all that.
We'll have to do that. Right.
We don't have to break it down, like, you know, they have $10,000, so we'll have to break it down.
I don't know how it's this week.
But yeah, we'll have to get some meetings
Just change it.
for 23, we'll need to.
Right, but we've got to get everything set up so that we can.
Well, we're close. Like you said,
Yeah. You know, it's just like closing the year and.
Hopefully.
I'm
They're gonna get bombarded.
gonna say, I'm excited about that.
You're gonna get bombarded, not like.
Well, I had shot my heart for construction, so. We're back in the regular session at this time. I'd like to move on to the minutes, we'll go to the minutes. While we're waiting, what's Chris here?
Sonny just texted me, you don't need him here next Monday since you've already made your decision. He said he couldn't hear completely, so, okay.
Yeah, we can know.
Okay.
You're, I read the minutes, or you read the minutes?
You
There
are,
should be. So you get one.
well, I mean, any of us can read, but
Yeah.
sometimes we take turns.
Right here.
Here, all of it.
Hey,
I'll read the minutes of January 4th. The Board of County Commissioners met a special session on Wednesday, January 4th. With members Bailey and Diver present. Commissioner Peter was present by phone. Melissa Cross, Land Development Director, and Philip Morgan met to discuss a special event permit for a family cemetery on Mr. Morgan's property. The motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver to approve special event permit 23-SE01. All voted aye, motion carried. Motion was made by Diver, seconded by Bailey to adjourn to meet in regular session on Monday, January 9, 2023. All voted aye, motion carried. Any corrections to be made? I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of January 4, 2023.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll read the front page. At least, thanks, Jay. January 3rd, 2023, the Board of County Commissioners met in regular session on Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023, with all members present. Christine Foster, treasurer, met to present purchase orders for approval. Caleb Crook, county councilor, joined the meeting. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver to approve purchase order 3749 to Dell for 8 computers, 6 monitors, 8 Microsoft licenses, and 6 adapters not to exceed $12,000 to be paid from the treasurer's tech fund. All voted aye, motion carried. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver to approve purchase order number 3748 to CDW for a check printer in amount of $422.28 to be paid from the treasurer tech fund. All voted aye, motion carried. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver to meet an executive session with Caleb Crook, county councilor, and Josh Ney, county councilor, by phone from 8:35 a.m. until 8:50 a.m. to discuss a matter deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. The commissioners returned to regular session at 8:50 a.m. No action was taken as a result of the executive session. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver to meet an executive session with Christine Foster, treasurer, Caleb Crook, county councilor, from 8:51 a.m. until 8:56 a.m. to discuss a matter involving identifiable non-elected personnel to protect the privacy rights of the individual. All voted aye, motion carried. The commissioners returned to regular session at 8:56 a.m. No action was taken as a result of the executive session. The commissioners recessed until 9:10 a.m. to attend the swearing in of the new county attorney. Ryan Kriegshauser, I didn't even get that. I get it.
I'm
Kriegshauser,
laughing because every time I say it wrong.
county councilor, joined the meeting. I definitely don't want to say the name wrong. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver to meet an executive session with Caleb Crook and Ryan Kriegshauser, county commissioners from 9:11 until 9:26 a.m. to discuss a matter involving identifiable non-elected personnel to protect the privacy rights of the individual. All voted aye, motion carried. The commissioners returned to regular session at 9:26 a.m. No action was taken as a result of the executive session. Caitlin Minor, Health Director, met to request an executive session, discuss the proposed new heating and cooling system and posting a RN position at the Health Department. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver to meet an executive session with Caitlin Minor, Health Director, and Caleb Crook and Ryan Kriegshauer, county councilors, from 9:30 a.m. until 9:40 a.m. to
I didn't
discuss
read his minutes, so I was there.
a matter involving identifiable non-elected personnel to protect the privacy rights of the individual. All voted aye, motion carried. Commissioners returned to regular session at 9:30 a.m. No action was taken as a result of the executive session. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver, to post a position for a full-time RN at the Health Department. All voted aye, motion carried. Ryan Fine, Public Works Director, met for weekly meeting. Items discussed for road safety plan and truck bids. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver, to approve the local road safety plan. All voted aye, motion carried. Stephanie Burdette, HR Director, and Caitlin Minor, Health Director, met to request an executive session. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver, to meet in executive session with Stephanie Burdette, HR Director, Caitlin Minor, Health Director, and Caleb Crook, and Ryan Hauser, County Counselor, from 10 a.m. until 10:05 a.m. to discuss a matter involving identifiable non-elected personnel to protect the privacy rights of the individual. All voted aye, motion carried. The commissioners returned to regular session at 10:05 a.m. No action was taken as a result of the executive session. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver, to meet an executive session with Stephanie Burdette, HR Director, Rhonda Beats, County Clerk, Caleb Crook, and Ryan Hauser, County Counselors, from 10:07 a.m. until 10:20 a.m. to discuss a matter involving identifiable non-elected personnel to protect the privacy rights of the individual. All voted aye, motion carried. Commissioners returned to regular session at 10:20 a.m. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver, to extend the executive session with Stephanie Burdette, HR Director, Rhonda Beats, County Clerk, Caleb Crook, and Ryan Hauser, County Counselors, from 10 a.m. to 10:20 a.m. until 10:50 a.m. to discuss a matter involving identifiable non-elected personnel to protect the privacy rights of the individual. All voted aye, motion carried. The commissioners returned to regular session at 10:50 a.m. No action was taken as a result of the executive session. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver, to meet in executive session with Caleb Crook and Ryan, County Counselors, from 10:52 a.m. until 11:02 a.m. to discuss a matter that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. All voted aye, motion carried. Excuse me. The commissioners returned to regular session at 11:02 a.m. No action was taken as a result of the executive session. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver, to accept the resignation of Dennis Brock, Barclay Township Treasurer, and approve the appointment of Valerie Pitts as Barclay Township Treasurer. All voted aye, motion carried. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver, to approve the minutes of the December 27, 2022 meeting and the December 30, 2022 meeting. All voted aye, motion carried. The following claims were allowed and checks issued on the following funds. General, $372,660.97. Road and Bridge, $61,237.99. Health, $15,233.94. Waste disposal, that's special levy, $14,646.74. Appraiser, $17,612.27. Noxious weed, $3,801.54. Osage County made and lateral federal owned land entitlement, $197.54. Only. Entitlement, $4,550. Sheriff inspection fee, $221.73. Emergency 911 wireless, $1,387.11. County Treasurer auto reimbursement, $221.73. Diversion fee, $63.32, for a grand total of $491,334.88. Motion was made by Bailey, seconded by Diver, to approve the claims as presented. All voted aye, motion carried. Motion was made by Diver, seconded by Cooter, to adjourn to meet in regular session on Monday, January 9th, 2023. All voted aye, motion carried. Anybody see anything in there aside from the
I don't see
mentor request?
an and that should be, and there should be a D on that. And then, I need to comma and take out and on one of the executive sessions. Is there anything else I'm thinking about?
I forgot.
I read these 3 times. Did I see that? I saw what was supposed to be there.
Did you see anything? Nope. Make a motion to approve the January 3rd, 2023 minutes with corrections by Rhonda Beats. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
I do have one more question for Josh. Did we hear back on that email to,
No,
Oh my gosh.
I need to call today. She was out on Friday. Like I said last week, she has not responded to me, so I'll just stay on her this week.
so Ben Kramer called me. And I believe he told me that they were possibly considering.
Okay,
Um,
but they haven't responded to me.
I was in a place I was having a hard time hearing and being able to be focused on this call, and he was telling me a whole bunch of things.
I'll call Ben.
So I said, well, I will see what I hear from you. Yeah, I would call Ben and what his update is on that. Because there are some deadlines that we are up against for certain things.
Okay. We plan to be here 2 weeks from today, but we'll be in contact with everyone on that issue this week individually. So you make sure you give them your contact on the vice versa.
Yeah. You documents and all that good stuff, for it's 100% formal. I think the next we have is at 9 o'clock with consideration. We'll want to let Chris get in here.
Should we go see if we can?
Seconds or something. Well, this just one. of
That's
those
just
considerations. Whatever.
You'll recess.
All right. We'll make a motion to recess out of commissioner meeting.
Oh, yeah, it's in there.
We'll maybe recess for 20 minutes.
We have to, I make a motion, I guess they're gonna recess it, all right? Or do we need a motion, right? To recess?
The chair can declare a recess to adjourn.
We'll go to recess for 20 minutes. Okay.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, there he is.
So now we'll call to order the public building commission. Brad, you can come back up because we're still on the public building commission. I would also like to make a motion that we appoint Les onto the public building commission, Les Holman, effective today, on the public building commission with us. If I could get a second on that.
Second.
Yeah.
Brad, did you hear that? We made a motion to add Les to our public building commission. It's been first and seconded. All those in favor say aye. 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 All opposed say aye. You're on another new board, all right? Mr. Wells.
Got good news, good plan.
You got a bunch of copies today?
Brought some paper copies so we can take a look at it. But yeah, we've been diligently working on devising a plan that gets this thing with.
But we made one of it right down there too, and value.
No. Yours? Very much. Yeah.
So yeah, we've been working diligently the last month and a half, roughly. Revising this design to reduce the square footage and ultimately construction cost of this. So what we've done is we took basically was a two-story plan and consolidated over single story slab on grade layout, which kept pretty much everything intact, or the departments, floor spaces, housing, so forth. Eliminated a lot of circulation space, elevator, stairways, stuff like that, to really help get this down to the least cost on this. I've been working back and forth with the sheriffs for about a month and a half to make sure plans all good with what they're needed to do inside the facility as well as on site, how the land on the site, people need to be on that. But as you can see, kind of walking through, looking down the bottom left-hand corner here, your main public entry. Got a reception, sheriff's office above that, EOC just beyond that. And then kind of work its way up around, got dispatch, administration, road patrol, investigators, all that. And we start getting back into the booking intake of the move right, vehicle or sally doors, kitchen, laundry, got our special housing unit there, just off the booking intake, and then into general population housing. So, and we did relocate the EMS bay off the end of the vehicular sally port, which kind of usually this one. We just made the switch here the other day. What that allows them to say office. Well, yeah, let us remain in our building. Yeah. As a entire building versus taking the north of the office. You don't want to do that. We don't have to. There's only way to do a lot of stuff there we don't have to put anywhere. This would eliminate that from happening. So it's a good thing.
So this just moves that whole thing over and
Moved it.
moves it towards 14th Street.
Correct, so yeah, what you see here in front of you now is the overlay of the site plan, the aerial photograph. The black floor plan you're seeing in behind there, with that EMS bay down here on the bottom part of the sally port, that kind of got into that north wing, that existing sheriff's office there. So by relocating that EMS bay, just below housing up here. So what you're seeing right here, that allows us to shift that building down and give us a little buffer there between that and existing building. We will still have to.
But we'll still have to take out the training room.
Yeah, the current EOC will have to go unfortunately, but we do that all along.
Right. The current, right there to the side.
Yes.
The one over, over.
That'd be the one. That's every room in the building, but. So yeah, like I said, just kind of showing you what that did, said still keeping all the parts and pieces intact from our original scope of work. So we just really simplified things, in effort to reduce construction costs on this. I think we've got a good plan moving forward. We'll be working with KBS here as well too, kind of start to pull together some budget numbers. We've had some preliminary meetings just to see where we're at budget wise. Obviously, we've got a lot of redesign to get into as well too, with all our mechanical, electrical, structural.
Where it shows us future 24-bed housing.
Yes.
Is that something that's already put, I mean, is there grade work, what's done in that area?
Yeah, so there'll be great work done out there to allow for that future expansion, but what we're gonna do in the future, I said, you know, right now with 120 beds, we've got you at 184 or 44. But yeah, great work and all that will be done there. We pull forward through this dorm here and that would allow for 24 plus beds for future expansion, but we're just not building that shelf space into the original construction project. But that does give us the ability in the future over time do necessarily add on to that. So, to get any additional housing there.
There might be.
What's that?
There might be like that.
Okay. We can pause or you guys have other questions?
I was not on pause. If we have questions for us, I guess we can ask them. I know one question. Cost.
Right, and that's what, and I'll speak to that. I know they've been reaching out to all their subcontractors to get some preliminary costs pulled back together. I know this meeting to discuss that and all will be in touch with them.
Yep, they're our biggest one. Right now, we're about 990,000 over that 18 below budget that would give us to the ultimate number. I think it's 1,000 and change, as you guys have paid that in. Short of $1 million over, we feel good enough on that to move forward and get this thing out. Probably we can close a significant part of that gap with our contingency. Our contingency right now is 5%. We probably want to take 3 or 3.5 with us so that I can chew on that 990,000. The rest of it, we feel pretty good about getting that out and competitive bids. And we do need to get the bid process going because our chance is better and getting the bid out in February and very late, or very early March. So that's where I, budget wise, and then start date wise, probably mid-April, 1st of May-ish, and we talk about, you know, the May winter's coming in 2023. And so, working with that one, to get that started as soon as I can, hopefully, what we're working towards is getting the excavation started. Okay.
Third floor, manager, is around what we being.
So is it still, is the 120 I thought was the minimum beds, and then there was up to 144 later on.
Correct.
Is 120 still?
120 is still a base number all in the current plan.
Because I saw 96 beds, I didn't see where.
Oh, there.
So we have
On that
96.
side, there's 24 on that warm side.
Oh,
Or
I'm sorry.
additional 24. There's future bed housing over there too, if you see that.
Okay, I thought that was future with the little dots, but that's actually.
I looked at that, I looked at that.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got the 90 plus additional.
Okay, I missed it.
Here.
I missed it.
Where it said 24 beds, I looked at that first time, like, oh, we're at 96, we're at 62, so there's two different ones, so, yeah.
So, and I also, in addition to that, I think we'd like to look at a couple of things to throw in these alternate bids, particularly potentially like the EMS bay. I know it's something we really want, but can we put that as a separate line item and let you guys make that decision? If it's in budget, we'll do it. If it doesn't, is that something to consider not?
I missed the first part. Did you say EMS bay?
Mhm.
As a potential,
Alternate bid. So we'd like to identify some things within the plans here to do as an alternate bid. What that does is allow us to pay basically the line item cost of that. And then let you guys make a decision whether we want to accept that or.
We wouldn't be able to do that because part of the way they sold us back, because it was gonna have that in there. So you start deleting things. I mean, we're already looking at cutting 8,000 square foot, so.
Right.
Off the original. We could be walking on some treacherous ground, you know, with,
Well, if we're gonna close the door.
we just read them.
yeah.
We'll go on the recess.
We'll recess the public building commission meeting for 5 minutes. We have an ordeal going on in the courthouse, they gotta take care of, so they close the work.
Let's do a little tense trial here. Tense trial.
That's on walk by, he didn't look very happy. Because they're fussing about his taxes, probably.
Oh, really?
No, it was third floor, wasn't it? Yeah, so that fortunate, so
Actually, she's alone, I'll make sure she got her door locked.
they get pretty far up there sometimes, that's why we have.
Well, that's why we added the court. Health security.
Right.
So I noticed that the jail guy, he was on the road. So
It's a good thing to have. I know back in my hometown, Adrian County, Missouri, we still don't have force security up there. They can just come in and go.
There's a couple other commissioners that I know, and we visited the most recent conference, and one of them, they do not have any courthouse security, and she keeps bringing it up, and
Right.
she can't get support for it, and I can't imagine this day and age having.
Oh, but I know one thing, if I ran up those steps of flights, they might have thought paramedics do.
There.
Either that or use what's in the machines we approved, that are hanging on the wall. Would have to use one of those.
Do we have this here in the courthouse now?
Yeah, there's one side across the hall.
So those are very good.
And Greg McCurdy came down and put new batteries in them.
So who's trained to use them?
Greg?
Yeah. we should
You take them out of the wall
Yeah.
and walk them step by
Yeah.
step.
I'm saying.
It would still be good to have training.
And we were talking about from his football player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted. Girl, you just open it and turn it off and you know, she might do.
I'm friend, we're talking about.
Well, that's why I need to take a look at it. I want to get everybody's blessing to move forward on this. So we can have our engineers in a holding pattern. So we can look at them this week. We can go ahead and kind of free time on this thing. I would really like to get this out sooner than later. Obviously, there's some potential big construction projects, like just down the road in Burlington potentially, or Wichita. It's going to draw a lot of construction.
Burlington started on theirs.
What's that?
Has Burlington started on ours?
They have not. And in fact, yeah, we're still working on that project. We've got some meetings up here.
They're doing a lot more than what, because they're doing the whole courthouse, right?
They're doing a portion of the existing sheriff's office and jail, going to renovate into additional courts up there, in addition to new sheriff's office and county jail, so. But I think this is a big box. Which probably is up for really what you are.
What was our number of beds that we building there?
I think that one we were right close to. Consider nineties.
Okay, we can come back from recess now, so now we're back in open. After you guys.
Yeah, so I said, we'd like to look at some things, obviously, EMS being not a popular one, trying to look at some parking areas and all, just we have some extra parking, cost. So really not a popular place to put anything, this thing about condenses if you get. I know the sheriff did mention talking with him last go around, that there might be some potential to purchase kitchen equipment through a source that he has. As opposed to having it as part of the construction project, which might save, $100,000 plus or minus on that too. So we're gonna look at anything and everything we can to keep the same, give us a buffer to get in this budget. But as Lauren said, I think we're close enough. We haven't redesigned this to its entirety yet, but I think it's close enough. I'm like that. Get everybody's permission to move forward with the design. Let's get this thing on the streets and let it be bid so we can see what the actual numbers are versus what we're estimating on this.
Fred, you got any questions on that? Heather?
No, the only question I have for you is, are you happy with this, with it being?
This is the best plan I've seen to date. Like, I really, really like it. I think it actually fits better than the two-story one. I had my reservations for the two-story one all along, because an elevator with an inmate in it scares me a little bit. This eliminates that.
Yeah, and I appreciate all the sheriff's efforts. He's went through some links with his plans at this time.
We went back and forth a lot to get to where we are now.
I'm very aware.
I mean, even quietly, we went back and forth, especially the last couple of weeks, to get it where it is now, and I think it's a very functional.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with how it turned out, and I think we've got you guys in a good direction for this.
So unfortunately, once you have all this, but there's one of the new facilities.
I kind of know the process. And if the guys that are using it every day are happy with what we're doing here, I mean, you can look at it and tell it's condensed. I don't know how much more, unless you're gonna start popping rooms out of here.
That's my thing too, is I don't know if we get smaller than what we got here, so I think that's a really good plan. I think it's has everything we want. And the ability to in the future. To build it if we need to.
Yeah, no, it's very efficient, and I think it keeps all the scope and activities in the middle. We keep it there. It's a safe and secure environment for both staff and inmates as well. So very pleased about this.
But we clearly have room for expansion. And said lots and.
Yeah, once that.
Parking lots to be now, are they still included the paid parking lots are all stuff there in there, because they're just not on the ground.
Yeah, no, they're not on this drawing, but yes, so. In this plan here, we're going to have a large public and staff parking out here, Dick or Sally Port would have access drive, off of 14th Street, so as well as the EMS bay, and we have a delivery drive coming right through here.
Yeah.
To the kitchen.
So all of it up there would not be paved, it would be just those areas, and so I've got that area that for future consideration if we had.
Right.
And then the tow lot will be up there very
Yeah, we put the west one here in this corner.
No, it's not, that wouldn't be fenced or would be.
It would be, according to the special use permit, the city, they're requiring that to have at least 8 foot privacy fence just to shield public.
Privacy fence. So like a salvage yard property.
They actually created a ordinance for that, I think, specific to us, because they don't want that stuff on, which I don't blame them.
They've probably seen what it looks like up there.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we're gonna need some clarification on that, whether that's a chain link fence, privacy slats, and your actual deck. That's obviously
Probably what they used to
stay
say.
away from because that's something. We don't have any interiors. We'll get some clarification, from the city on that. But yeah, as far as future goes, if that road and bridge building are going away, that's future expansion that way. We got some parking on there. Where the existing building.
There's also an outbuilding that's not shown on the plans, but there'll be an outbuilding out there too, to help store evidence, stuff bigger and interesting be.
That's in there now or no?
It is included in.
Okay, so outbuilding that's not shown.
Yeah, no, we're working on a new site. This was just to show me who the patient's house is going to sit on the side. much of the existing facility.
So what you need right now is just the ability to send this out with it.
Yeah, this commission goes to wrap up some drawings and get.
So I would make a motion that we allow them to move forward, allow KBS and Goldberg Associates to move forward with sending this out for this.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Appreciate it, sir. Any questions?
Time frame,
That's what we're gonna give, I'll hopefully have a time frame, we'll get it.
Been asking that question a lot.
Yeah.
time frame and grounded.
Yeah, we're gonna go just as soon as we can. What we'd like to do is, as Laura mentioned, try to get an early grading package, for grading utilities that will allow us to get a grant through sometime in April, all this is planned. We'll follow the rest of the launches after that. We'll have some bids. So once this,
So we're talking about having an open first of 25.
No, we're talking about 19, right around 19 months with the 2 phases. The 2 phases would be phase 1 would be everything except the parking lot and
the impound lot.
and the impound lot.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like 16 months to get the first phase done. Probably taking a month break or whatever you need to move into your facility. And then we come back and 90 days and wrap things up. So whatever 20 months is from.
So 16 months of course in September of 24.
So yeah, we'll hoping late 24, we should be able to get this. That's the very thing goes as one. And then it is hard to look at, we want to beat some of these bigger construction projects. Potentially down the road, it's going to draw some of our crews away from this one, so we want to get it out ahead of that. I think it's competitive and we don't do that.
And we are looking at long-term, long lead time items, like maybe 2 things I'm looking at, is rooftop units and transformer. And we're talking local subs and saying local. They usually lead time for transformers, we usually lead time on rooftop unit. Because we may need to order those things early before we build things out, just to make things work.
So they're sitting here ready to go.
Well, they won't be sitting here. If you ordered a transformer today, it'll get here about the time you need it.
I know.
Yeah.
Because they are,
You're familiar with that.
oh yeah, they've got 1 year lead times on 15 kV transformer.
Been on the radar for a year. That's
Yeah.
a big deal.
What do you think brass is, they're talking 52 weeks sometimes.
Yeah, we
Certain things.
network switches and stuff like that as well too. So,
Yeah,
of course, the detention and security program, we need to get out there every time, too, so that might be in the pack, but then we actually have.
Thank you.
thank you guys. We're not done. Christine wants us to spend some money there. See you guys in what time frame?
We'll give it come back there.
Yeah, I think, again, another budget pulled together, preliminary budget, we can sit down and go see more of that.
Sounds good.
All right, have a good day.
Thanks.
So, with the PVC board, you're still chairman, Heather and Fred.
And we just added lunch chips, and now we have.
Okay, so you still have to sign this. So I have 2 invoices, one from Stumbo Hansen, for professional services. What?
That's the term.
Yeah, so it's $135 for 0.6 hours. And then we have another one from the architect for 105, 327.46. Which is construction documents, I'm sure they're probably working stuff.
What was that for? Because he said it wasn't charging us.
It's just, no, it's.
I mean, it's all part of their one fee.
Right, yeah, this is part of their one fee, this isn't anything.
Yeah, it's all part of their official.
They're not charging us anything
Timeline
more.
and plan.
They're not charging us anything more.
So you probably need these made this separate anyway. So I make the first motion I'll make is that we pay the bill to Stumbo Hansen in the amount of $135. All those in favor say aye. Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. There's yours. What are you doing over there smiling so much about?
Oh, yeah.
So you have to wait till we come back to the commission business. Well, that was good this time.
No sugar babies. Thankfully.
Looking to see what kind of bacon we got, or shrimp, or
I would find the sugar.
lobster bisque, or.
But there they are. Where they get them from. Then
They hit it a different place.
we'll have to tell you a joke about
Uh,
the sugar baker.
So I will make a motion that we approve paying CG or GGAPC, which is Goldman Associates, amount of 105 through 2746. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, all opposed, same sign. First choice. Anything else that? I would make a motion, we adjourn the public building commission. Second. All those in favor say aye. 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 All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
We will,
Back to, oh, sorry.
we will move back into open meeting.
And the question about the ADE or yeah, those things. Greg McCurdy is watching and he sent me a message that said, you turn them on and you follow the instruction. And I said, we could do it. And he said, yeah, you could. So.
They're pretty easy according to what I said.
Are you gonna go to the offices, like meet people today or some other time?
Yeah, I got to take care of some financial things too.
Okay. Sounds
But
good.
yes, I will be
Okay,
moving.
sounds good.
I think most of the time is back to see.
Right? You look those in again?
Hey, Leaving?
Yeah.
I was supposed to bring this in this morning, and everybody started my folder, for our noxious weed is the annual conference that, Kevin goes to. So this needs approved, it's $350 for the 3 nights. And, it's February, March, so it's the 27th, 28th, and the 1st.
Where are they going to go this year?
It's a mowing.
Oh, it's office.
So that's where this one is. He dropped this off the other day, and then this morning when I was grabbing stuff, I was left it right there in my house. This is the sheet for the. Oh, whoops, sorry about that.
No, what's it have with the hotel rates? Where did we find that on there? 350. Put that
50 for registered vendors, recertification, dinner, lunch.
How do we want to hear those from? Do we just make a motion with the approval to pay?
Just approve
Okay.
it, permission to attend the meeting.
I'll make a motion to, permit Kevin Foley to attend the noxious weed meeting conference, February 28th through March 2nd. Second rate is $350 for the conference.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do I need to sign this at all?
Rhonda,
No.
does he need to sign that or anything, or? It doesn't really have.
That's
a
not
place for-
everything.
That's just the registration. He doesn't-
Okay.
And I voted aye on that one, sorry. I gotta remember to write this out. Not used to that. The motion that usually should have report.
I'm kidding, John, one of the things on my list of things that we're gonna do this.
Right now, I know
that.
I was up in Carbondale, they did get the phone lines all over and stuff, so. That project was going along. things would be somebody's store sign over the weekend and relocated the time on the Third Street, but they took out the road closed. You can tell where they cut the metal.
I'll do that, we'll do this.
I was like, oh, that is good too.
Perhaps they clean this up. I'm kidding.
No, they're gonna get this.
Oh, yeah. You're the one of these each year. Oh, yeah. I know that. That says that.
So,
Oh, yeah.
we don't have to-
It sounds like. Oh, wow.
But we do the charter. for months. We can make it.
Yes.
He's pretty friendly in his letters.
So.
Well, the weekend set up this week. When you-
So you'll get one of those, so I'll get another one next year.
It's not very bad, it's all not.
Yeah, I hope you're enjoying your stay. Dan.
I had a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I looked up our budget for the courthouse general. We actually don't have anything for capital outlay for 23. When we have the chart of accounts where we have the more detailed line items. Rhonda says, once those are all put in the system, we can move money from one to the other. So we may want to think about that because we've got,
What's that fund called?
well, I've got courthouse general. And then we have personnel, overtime, contractual, commodities, capital outlay, and we have what the expenditures are, but then for 23, it's nothing. So
There's another fund in there somewhere that says courthouse. What's that fund?
Check fees are separate, they're in separate funds.
No, I'm talking about the fee, the fund that we have for the courthouse general in itself, and we had the building maintenance, we put the capital outlays in that same fund, everything.
Right,
yeah, we've got a county building.
right, but it was never separated out. They just plugged all the money in there like they did with.
But that's what I'm saying, that's all in
It's
the
in
capital.
there.
What's in
Don't
fund?
break it out. Yeah, it's all within courthouse, general fund, courthouse line item within that, but you just need to break it out when you break it down more. Cause you know, like, all the departments are gonna have more of a breakdown, but the budget was only set on the 3 lines, so those 3 lines are gonna have to be divvied up.
So like commodities, we have 31,000 and contractual, we have 292. We're probably gonna have to pull something from there and move it to capital outlay.
And it's just a number thing, because they were all put in there, because we took money.
You know.
We took it out of
Approve it
the.
over the budget and then you try and look at line items, but not always in line items.
Well, what it is everybody had a capital outlay, and we just put it all on the one, because everybody's in the courthouse, so it made it all come out of that one fund, so. It doesn't fall in any department, it falls under the revenue commissioner, how you want to divide that out, and capital outlay. I mean.
Well, that is
so
a
do
separate
you
one.
call it- do you call it building air conditioner on the roof, or do you call it putting camera systems in, and all that's what it done to the courthouse, but we didn't go back and charge out of each department. Because that's what that fund is for.
Where's that one, what he's talking about?
The capital outlay one. It's separate from the general.
I'm not calling it a general fund.
Oh, you're back on the
It's-
general.
No, I'm talking about whatever the fund is that has $900,000.
That's separate from. the
That's separate
general.
from the general. So when we approved that expenditure, we approved it out of the courthouse capital outlay. Is that where we're wanting it to come from?
Correct.
Okay, well, that's different than, and the one you're talking about, I know what that one is too.
That's what I'm talking about. The $900,000 one, where that money's in there to pay like cameras, anything that benefits the entire courthouse.
Right.
I don't know if the commissioners have any capital outlay because it was all under that.
Yeah, I've never, no,
No.
there's, for 23, there's no capital outlay on me.
No, I'm just saying, if we paid it out of the courthouse, then we're gonna have to find something to that capital outlay. Period, unless you want it to come out of a large capital.
No, it's very, I think that's what Jay's saying, if it benefits the entire building and it's kind of. IT's gonna be for all of the different departments, there's really no sense in.
Yeah.
Making it any more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, no, I think where we took it out of, I think it was.
Well, there's one too.
This is where all the documents go. This was done wrong. It took me forever to figure out what happened here. But they put the file cabinets all in the right place, except on this one, this file cabinet should have been here.
Right,
This one would have been here, right? But I don't know how you fix that now, so.
we're just getting a little closer to each other every day, yeah, a little closer each meeting.
You see what happened to me when I came in, I was young looking, I had a full head of hair, sat next to it for 2 years and look what I'm doing.
Gray hair was young from his head to yours, huh?
And it was.
Thankfully, mine's already gray. So we're already halfway there. Do we have any other business to conduct?
I don't know anything. I would make the motion with adjourn.
I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed? All right, thank you guys for being patient with me today, and thank you for everything you guys did.
I'm gonna show you the map.